morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
A little chilly.
Okay.
Yourself?
There you go. Same here.
My car said negative 14. Is that true?
That's true. It is true.
That's evil.
Just arbitrarily did it.
Oh, we know.
And like I told you, that's the only direct route into Denison if 16 is closed. Otherwise, you gotta go 10 miles out of your way, out and around either south or north to get in, to get back home.
Yeah. Scott will not be here before he gets last episode.
Oh, okay. Orland.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Hey, you want to know what I learned at my meeting?
What's that?
The chairman always says in the minutes.
Yeah, bullshit.
I'm not going to try one more time.
I just sat there and
You could have almost got him to sleep this morning.
I thought about coming down here early and moving in day.
Oh, well. It'll be okay.
see, they gotta go through you to get to me.
Oh, you got the cards, huh?
Tried to print something twice on the printer down here. I don't know if it needs to be flow or I couldn't find anything in the queue. It didn't show. Okay.
start out.
Yep.
Don't have any fun.
So did you call somebody to come look at your furnace first thing? or-
Now, I got, texted Jesse Bray last night, having looking for a little one.
I got you.
They keep copying of those for the other two commissioners, just the one, got a copy of my.
How was your school?
It was good.
Learned a lot, didn't you?
I didn't, you know, I did, but most of it was familiar.
Yeah,
So,
oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, it was good. But there's several of them out there that thought they were just gonna change the world overnight, so.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to tell them, no, that didn't work, but it was interesting. And the budget one was good too. He was an administrator. He didn't put it, so there were some others that occurred. And he was very good at what he did. Well, when it comes right down to it, it's not, you know, that's,
Did it start to work?
Well, it's thinking, I shut it off and trying to boot it back up.
Okay. Perfect.
we got him on the distributor, so that's good.
And that is part, that's part. I guess that's.
Good morning, Todd.
Morning. We'll open with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start off with, we have a resolution number 2025-7 for offer for the Board of County Commissioners authorizing participation in Rural Opportunity Zone Student Loan Repayment Program for the calendar year 2025. I would entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Before I go any farther, I want to, we elected to appoint or elect a vice chair last week, so I would entertain any motions to elect vice chair.
I make a motion to elect Keith Kelly as vice chair.
I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded that Keith Kelly be vice chair. Any discussion? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. All right, here we have a letter to Kneecap. Is that, are you going to send this to Kneecap? Is that the official one? Okay. Letter to Kneecap that I was appointed as a member of their board last week, and I did attend the meeting on Thursday, so they were very appreciative of us taking quick action to get somebody up there, so.
Cool.
This is just a formal announcement.
Okay.
And we also have a request from the Board of Trustees, the Hoyt Rural Fire Department, that we appoint Deb Drescher for a 3-year term as a member of the Board of Trustees, the Hoyt Rural Fire Department number 3, effective January 1, 2025. The appointment, this will fill the appointment held by Larry Valdez, whose term will expire December 31st, 2024. So I think this is just formality that we appoint them. Do we have to have a motion on it? Okay, so I would entertain a motion to appoint Deb Drescher for a 3-year term as a member of the Board of Trustees, the Hoyt Rural Fire Department, Fire District number 3.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Deb Drescher to the Hoyt Rural Fire Department number 3 Board of Trustees. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. We have a informational letter here from the Conservation District. Their annual meeting will be Wednesday, February 12th of 2025, and we are invited to go. We need to RSVP if you want to go by Friday, February 5th.
So February 12th.
February 12th, 6 o'clock for the dinner, 7 o'clock entertainment and business meeting. That is at the First United Methodist Church. So that's just informational only. All right, got some payroll changes to take care of here.
Is this, or did everybody get a copy of this? Or?
I
No.
just have the one,
Okay.
and I don't think my copier's going today.
Okay.
I wrote it down, that's all right.
Okay. Check your weekend?
It's fun, this doesn't keep you warm anymore.
No.
That's good.
We're faithful.
Yeah, there you go. You sent somebody to us, read the record, or is that?
And I'm going to hold off on these 2 payroll changes for the interns for the attorney's office and the
Till-
investigation.
till the best. Yeah, sure. Sounds like a plan.
It started working.
Yeah, good. I don't know if you can print it yet.
I still can't see. Aaron, please see if I can. So, these neighborhood revitalization plans, what do we have to do with these?
Those just need to be signed. Those are the ones that are on now.
She sent them out last week, didn't she?
Okay, just signed by me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Did we have any more that didn't make the deadlines?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Actually, she had more that paid in full than.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we're good.
County commissioners may help you. Is that going to be with Caitlin and Sheila? Is that with Caitlin and Sheila, with the appraisal? Okay, let me give it to me, I think, please, hold on. You're welcome.
we met your uncles.
One?
Yep.
Which one?
Gabe?
Debbie's there?
Yep.
Who received it?
Lots of them. Thank God I got it since first one.
I knew you freeze.
I asked you if you had any good stories on it. You said, no, I don't think so. I'll have to talk to
Good.
your cousin because that's who I had to contact first, but they said, yes.
Oh, Joyce.
Uh-huh.
Oh, she had a good story.
You can probably have some up, right?
Oh, I'm sure there's some she did.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
there's a matter of some time sensitivity, attorney-client privilege matter.
Okay.
I don't know if the schedule is up for, you know, can you get that hearing, so I don't
We can stick that in right now.
know. Okay. Probably 20 minutes to half hour.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session, attorney-client privilege for
20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Move we go into executive session for purpose of attorney-client privilege for a period of 20 minutes, starting at 9:10, which is a minute from now.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
And what's the purpose?
Um,
For discussion of claims against the county.
Claims against the county, yep.
To reconvene at
9:40.
9:40.
Been moved
Or
and seconded.
9:30.
Yeah, 9:30
Yep.
here in this room.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session for attorney-client privileges for the
We amend that
claims against the
as-
county
Christie.
to include Christie,
Christie.
commissioners, and our attorney.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
I gotta get that camera.
I only had 4 arms. Yes.
Maybe.
See, you get here, I'm gonna get all the exercise. I could pass it.
You can pass it down. Well, you can still pass it down.
Yeah. Christie, you know, in August, did we get a check from Mid-States Material for reimbursement of, I think it's 15 cents for every ton of gravel sold out of the Denison quarry? I know the year before, they failed to do that on time, and we had to remind them. I don't know that it's high on anybody's priority.
I think it's,
I was gonna say, she can probably answer that better.
With interest?
no, but they do it at the end of the year. I think as the year gets in, then it'll get figured income.
Okay. Because usually it comes, usually we get it in August or September, because that's what it's always been, not on a calendar year. But maybe that's changed.
In all honesty,
Uh-huh.
I think it was supposed to have came before August or September. I think it was supposed to came on.
Okay,
And then
okay.
it's probably down on the calendar. I mean, I think as they ended this year, then I think they'll figure out what money comes back to the county.
For the last, it
Yes.
would be actually from August up, August plus.
Probably however that works.
Okay.
Anyway.
Just, if you would have that information available for us when it comes in, just so we can verify that, because I think in the contract, I need to go back and look at the contract. I think it actually states that in the mid-states contract, but, okay.
I just don't want, I need to remark it, they had to end the year before they would process it.
Okay.
Mr. Pat,
Mr. Mark,
how are you? Good. What you got?
well, when we was clearing snow out here on the Circle Drive, one of the operators accidentally hit this manhole out here. I think it's that up here.
Yeah, you had to go find them.
Yeah, we had to go find the lead. And I noticed that when we put it back on, that it was starting to get pretty shady at best. So I got hold of somebody from the city, and they came in and looked at it, and it needs to be replaced. The whole, not just the lid, the cone part needs to be replaced. They've got metal ones now that they use, this one's still brick. And it's starting to,
And so it's our responsibility.
yes.
Okay.
And he gave me a list of a couple of guys that do that. One was John Howard, and the other was McManuel.
Okay. Christie, would we just, that's an insurance claim because it was Road and Bridge that caught it.
Yeah.
It was hidden by snow, I'm assuming, and.
Yeah, we
That's
use
just,
it
yeah,
on
just
the
a
spot.
total accident, so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'd go ahead and get a couple bids on it.
Get her
Let's get her started done.
More than likely,
Probably have to wait till springtime.
probably.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some concrete work around it too, and I didn't know how far you wanted to go with the concrete. We just wanna do that little area around it, or
And where's it located? In the drive?
it's pretty much straight up from here.
In the street?
No.
In the drive.
In the drive, in the circle
yeah.
drive, okay. I would, I guess, my opinion is whatever we gotta do to make it.
Yeah, to make it right.
For longevity.
About the same way we did it in water.
Right.
I'd get it done right, so we don't have to go back and do it again in 2 years, 3 years, or whatever.
We wanted to put new concrete, just like, say, 6 foot, I don't know how much they gotta dig out.
I would go on the recommendation of who's putting it in.
Yeah.
Because it's got, I don't know, I'm not an expert on that, so whoever is doing it would be better
And maybe the.
informed than us.
Yeah, maybe the city's uphold street department supervisor would have a recommendation what they do if something like that happens.
Well, he's the one that gave me the 2 names.
Okay. Very
Because I had
good.
the city come in and look at it, because I didn't know who it belonged to, and he said that's our responsibility.
tell them, no, we don't want it.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's been getting bad.
Yeah,
They hit it, just, I got to see inside of it.
yeah. No, I'd go ahead and get things lined up now, so as soon as spring hits, we're not back down the list and get it done, go on down the road. So, yeah,
I
but
agree.
I would follow their recommendation to.
You can get a couple bids on it,
Yes,
get John and John up here.
Yep.
and see-
get a couple bids on it, and then when they say they recommend going out 6 feet, 10 feet, whatever for concrete, go ahead and get bids on that too at the same time, so that we get things going.
All right.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Building maintenance roads we put in the report. If you can email it to me, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, same here, Lewis. I've got it here somewhere. One second. Yeah, there, and like I say, from looking back at the resolution, actually back when, 1995-21. It shows that 1/90th U1 to U3, but I don't believe, I think that sometime after that, if I remember correctly, looking at the list, it was U4 because it was a house built back down from the first house on the road.
So I see on here. U Road to V7 on 190th
That's it.
is currently,
But that's what I'm saying, I believe it is, from what I've read, U Road puts it right at the corner. From U to V7 back to the east, puts it right at the corner. And I believe that list originally stated that it was supposed to be U4 to V7. The reason I say that is if they leave it at U, that takes those two houses and puts them on minimum maintenance.
okay,
And I have an email, and you guys got it too, from the Phillips family, who, that's the two houses that it would affect,
right, and then there's one from Tim Mulroy.
who owns land up across from me.
Right. Thank you.
See, this says U, just straight U, which has, that can't fly. I'm, many miles of road we have in Jackson County? Roughly.
1,100 plus minimum maintenance and gravel,
Okay, so if, what I read,
800 miles of gravel, give or take.
yeah, well, so we've got over a third of the roads in Jackson County is minimum maintenance.
Correct.
That just boggles my mind.
Why is that?
I think that, you know, what we live on minimum maintenance, I think minimum maintenance roads, some of them that we have as minimum maintenance, it just, I don't understand why, I don't know why they were ever put as minimum maintenance. If we have a road that goes to a dead end, you know, and like the one we went out and looked at 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, that goes just off of a minimum maintenance road into down to the creek and ends, I can understand that. But one of them that I saw was 318 off the highway, I think it's 318 off the highway up here. I didn't know it was minimum maintenance road until I saw the new sign. And that goes back up and goes to a house, back this way.
There's several along 75 highway down here by Hagan and O'Shea.
Yeah.
You go west.
Go west.
That's a minimum maintenance.
Yes.
So I believe the answer to the question is that the only reason the county ever graveled the road was if somebody built on the road. Because otherwise, how do you want to fund something like that?
Well, someone here.
If you take it out of minimum maintenance, then we're going to be required to put base rock.
Right.
You're talking millions of dollars.
Here's the kicker on that. We had a road that was done that way, the one I did.
But it was,
due to Denison,
Yeah.
yes, the state came in and
I know.
built the road, did it
as a detour.
as a detour, but it was a road. And apparently, from what I was told, Mr. Barnett didn't find anything where the city commission ever received that back as a road. And so he just said, I bought out there and well, I'll get it on that, but.
Right,
but
I think what you're talking about is they used that road, the state came in, gravelled it, they used it as a detour, and it was a minimum
They
maintenance
actually
road.
widened it and built it.
It was, right, and once it was done,
Mhm.
because there's nobody lives on that road, correct?
For the first two houses, from U4 to B7,
Right, so there's two.
in between, yep,
Okay, but once you get past those, it's a minimum maintenance road, correct?
yes.
And I think, and typically what they would do is go, okay, we're not gonna continue to maintain this road as a gravel road because it was never established by the county commission to be upgraded to a gravel road.
Okay. I found maps clear back in 1954, which shows that road was a gravel road.
And it states that in there?
It shows it on the map according to the legend
Okay.
that it was a gravel road, 1954, 1960 and on up. If you look at we purchased the property out there in 2007.
Okay.
And I did my due diligence, looked at everything I could find. It showed it as, there was no minimum maintenance signs up. It showed it as a gravel road on all the maps. Still shows it as a gravel road on all the maps, not a minimum maintenance road.
Okay.
So, I guess what I'm saying is the thing that
This is Christine.
bothers me the most on that one is the road is the most direct route to Denison. If 16 is shut down for whatever reason, you have to go 10 miles out of your way either way to get to home, to get to Denison. And I got jumped because last summer, there was a wreck on 16, and the sheriff's officers were sending people down V, which is a minimum maintenance roads back to the north, and people were going out there and had no idea where they were going to. I had one lady told me that was the worst road I've ever traveled in my life, and I've driven down some minimum maintenance road, but that was the worst thing I've ever driven on in my life. And when I got out there, I had to try to figure out what to do.
Understood,
So-
yeah, sheriff shouldn't have done that.
Right.
But he did what he did. But going back to the question of, you don't believe that there should be minimum maintenance roads unless they're dead-ended makes it impassable. So we have hundreds of miles that are passable, but are minimum maintenance roads. How do you plan to fund something like that?
And that's the key right there. Do we just start, you know, the ones that are, there are roads out there that are,
Again, how do we plan to fund that?
that's what I'm saying. I don't have a plan for that, but, because I've not looked at it that hard. But as far as minimum maintenance roads, we need to look at that, because the people that are farming on minimum maintenance roads, the people that have cattle on minimum maintenance roads, the people that do anything on minimum maintenance roads, their land, are paying the same taxes
They are.
as anybody else, but they do not have the use of their land at all times due to the road conditions.
Right.
If you don't mind, I mean, I think what you got to conceive of this is first to understand that if there was a road created by the proper lawful process, however that is, that technically it's held in trust by the county for that purpose. So, you know, kind of the base idea here is that a road opened properly is required to be maintained by the county in such a way that it's safe. Now, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be in any particular
Yeah.
method of safe, you know, it can be really washboard rough and
Right.
ready, but you kind of, I think to conceive of the minimum maintenance is to say, these are the roads that the county wishes to retain, but does not wish to spend substantial sums to improve, because technically that duty doesn't just kind of stop at minimum maintenance. It means you're really going to upkeep it. So the idea would be to force the county to either keep a road or vacate it, not kind of keep it in another region where it is open, it is a road, and you have rights in it, but you kind of let it go to seed.
Sure.
So, you know, that's the kind of methodology. So all of this should be, I mean, I think they're trying to make you make a hard choice in some of these instances about, well, really can't keep this amount of roads in good shape, so we need to start vacating things that are on, you know, the list that are.
One of the points about this road here, and I know that we've talked about dealing with one way in and out. If something happened, you only have one way in and out. I'm trying to remember what road that is.
Right, so going south on E Road, if the bridge is out,
Mhm.
they really only have, you gotta go east or west.
Right.
And it's not very good road.
Right.
Going east now on 106 is much better because we rebuilt a lot of that.
Yes.
But
Yeah, and so I guess my point is here, if you read Mr. Phillips' email, well, when they had a fire over at Hoyt or over at Denison, and Hoyt Fire came over to assist, they headed down that road. This was before the minimum maintenance signs were up, because that is a road, and GPS, maps, whatever, sends you down that road. That's the most direct route to Denison. And that's what I'm saying, if anything happens to where 16 is closed, they have nowhere else to go other than 5 or 10 miles out of their way, north or south, to get to Denison.
okay.
There is no other way in.
And I don't argue, Mark, that maybe something needs to be done with that mile of road. But, and that's something we'd have to work with Road and Bridge to plan out to
Right.
get it brought up to a shape that needs to be considered a gravel road. But going back to these minimum maintenance roads, trying to figure out a way to fund to gravel all them correctly, just to me is not, it doesn't make sense, because we have gravel roads now that aren't in the shape they should be.
Right.
In order, so I think before we ever get to a minimum maintenance road and go, you know what, we're gonna gravel that one, we should take care and get the other
All
roads.
the ones we have up to snuff right now. The thing that gets me on this one is when it was actually gravelled, And, you know, you and I can't talk about that because we weren't there, other than, you know,
Yeah,
I
can't
know
go
what
back and
happened.
change what
Yeah,
was done.
what happened. But when Road and Bridge and the city commission at the time did not have the foresight to have a road built for them, and, you know, then they just let it go, they didn't bring it back in. It just kind of, because that road was rocked and maintained clear up until Mr. Barnett put the signs up.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was done, it was a road, it was not a mud road, it was a gravel road.
Okay.
So, yeah, but 6-1 does the other on that. You know, my feeling is, if I'm paying the same taxes on my road, that I need to be able to get up and down that road when I need to. That's my feeling.
And Mark, yeah, when people purchase ground
Mhm.
on minimum maintenance, it's not like they're surprised 3 years
Oh, no.
later.
That's true.
They
No, I
know
agree.
what they're buying
I
up
agree,
front.
but what-
And, hold that thought, we have charged multiple taxpayers in this county to do road extensions
Yep.
because they come in, and that's what the resolution says.
Yep.
If you're gonna build at the end on a minimum maintenance road, wherever the gravel ends, it's your responsibility to pay to upgrade that to your
Sure.
driveway. So are we gonna go back and refund all these people that money?
That's not what I'm saying. I didn't say that.
I know you're not
Okay.
saying that, but to go in and start graveling some of these minimum maintenance roads, I mean, if I were a taxpayer and I had built on one of these and got charged, I'd be coming here looking for my money back.
Sure, no, I understand that. But my point on that is, I did my due diligence on the roads, on my road, when I purchased the land,
Okay?
and it was a road. Okay, I didn't come up and look for a resolution on there.
Great,
But-
and I'm not arguing that
Although-
anymore. I'm
Yeah.
arguing, what
I understand what you're saying, yeah, there's gonna be people upset.
So yeah, we just need, I mean, to get resolution on the road you're talking about, we just need to sit down with Road and Bridge and talk about it. We need to, as a group, need to make a decision that we're gonna move ahead with it.
And what we need to sit down with Road and Bridge too and talk about is how we are going to maintain the minimum maintenance rates. Because
They already have a standard.
did we actually agree on a standard? Because we have, remember, the reason we're doing this now is because we had a supposedly gentleman's agreement between whoever out there and the city commission at the time. Remember that? That they came in and said, well, mud roads would be graded, you know, once a month, and dirt roads would be graded twice a month, and minimum maintenance roads would be graded 3 times a year. So did we ever really set a standard as to what we're going to do on those?
I believe Road and Bridge has a standard. I don't know that I need to agree with them on it. I think they're the ones responsible for it. They go in and grade them on a regular basis. And then we've always asked that in spring, when you're going to grass with cattle, get in there. But you know as well as I do, they can go in today, grade a minimum maintenance road, it can rain tomorrow,
Yep.
and 6 vehicles will go down it and tear it completely up.
Yeah, I agree.
And then they'll be in here complaining, you know, because people wanted to play in the mud, so they go to our roads to do it.
Yeah, no, I know, I agree.
You know, hitting it on a monthly or bi-monthly basis is, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, I think that we need to revisit the standards that we're going to have the minimum maintenance roads done.
Okay.
I think we need to revisit that, so.
Yeah, I would just ask Scott or Matt, for what they're giving their blade operators direction on.
Right.
And go from there.
Right.
But I think we're gonna open up a can of worms if we determine that we're gonna go out there and start graveling some of these minimum maintenance roads, just indiscriminately.
Well, I didn't say indiscriminate, no.
Well, I don't know how you choose which one you want.
Well, like you say though, if you go look the one off 318, I believe it is, up here off the highway, goes straight up to a house. There again, I think that whenever these got decided on, I don't know when, the house isn't new, it's older, so it's an older farmhouse. So I'm not quite sure I'm not quite sure how some of these roads
There-
were picked and
There
chosen.
there are some people who have, around the county, have chosen to live on minimum maintenance roads, and they have chosen
Mhm.
not to upgrade the road, to pay to have it upgraded. They just went back there and
Sure.
built. That's
Like I
their
said,
choice.
This is an older farm, and I understand that. This is an older
I
farmhouse
know,
that's
I know
in
one
the
over by
20s, so.
Dennison, or Delia, the guy told me that. He goes, I don't want anybody putting gravel on it. I go, really? He goes, no, because then people will be coming back here.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
that's your
yeah.
choice.
Right.
yep,
We'll maintain it as a minimum maintenance road.
right.
So again, without talking to Scott, there may be a
Yeah,
set of
I
minimum
know
standards.
Scott was gonna be here.
He's
today,
not,
and
his
he
wife
can't,
has, yeah.
Had surgery,
Yeah.
so,
So,
okay. Let's see, minutes.
but if,
We do this.
but if in this hearing, you're bringing to the table that we remove 190th Road from U to B7, is that what you're
The main thing I want is if we're gonna update this, it needs to be updated to U4, not U itself.
Right, and so this needs to be removed, not U, but
Correct.
go to U4.
And I would like to visit with Road and Bridge more about this, because I visited with them from 18 on with the commission and Road and Bridge. So, yeah, I need to talk to them more on that, but this will not go today because of I'll hear testimony today, but this will not go today because of that U. We can't have it as U, it has to be U4.
Why can't we remove it
We can remove it,
and then pass the resolution?
okay?
Yeah,
Does
Is that
that
what
be
you wanna do?
published again?
you can remove, no,
No.
you can remove, you can't add.
Correct.
Okay,
To me, that's kind of the purpose of the hearing. We could go in and remove, if somebody comes in with a valid
Yeah.
argument, we can remove it, pass the resolution, that way that everything else is updated, and if we want to return to the U and
then
have
we'll
it
put that
added,
later on.
we could have
Okay.
U4 added, that would have to be republished, and
Correct.
then
Yeah.
another hearing.
But I'd like to say with that, otherwise that leaves us two houses.
Is U4 currently a minimum maintenance road?
From U4 to V7.
It is.
Yes.
So really, all you're wanting to do is just have U taken off here. You're not wanting to add any road.
I'm not wanting to add any road. I would
Then-
like that one taken off.
Yeah, then we can remove it,
Okay. All right.
based on, the letters that I've gotten,
Okay.
valid argument. But then a meeting, I think then either
Then we
you
need to go to Road and Bridge and see.
or have them,
Yeah.
just let them know that what information you want for next week's meeting,
Yep.
and we'll spend some time talking about how to approach that road.
Okay. No, and that's fine. If that's the way that we handle it, 'cause I don't want to have to do the whole thing again.
Yeah, I don't either.
So that would be. And you're working tomorrow. There you go. Okay. All right, I have 10 o'clock. Do I need to recess from the meeting and open the special hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
well, don't recess, you just declare that the hearing is open, the hearing is open.
Correct.
And then things are-
All right. So that's what we'll do. We'll declare the hearing open at 10 o'clock for the minimum maintenance road resolution. Is there any comments on this? Vic, you got anything?
Well, I mean, where do you start?
Well,
I mean,
come on up there
I
to the
mean, I
table.
listen to Kelly, who talks about,
And I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. Apparently,
on Vic Eubanks,
Vic Eubanks, okay.
and which I'm on one of those lists that you got there.
Okay.
And, I always wondered who makes that decision, you know, what determines a low maintenance road?
A minimum maintenance
Or
road.
minimum maintenance road.
Yeah.
Because I was born on that road, so I didn't buy that road, this piece of property out there, and then decided to build, although I wanted to get back out there. And now I've got this title hanging over my name, and when I went to wait to find out, okay, I paid the taxes, I probably paid over $100,000 in taxes over the last 40 years, and there hasn't been any rock put on that road.
And I don't know what road we're talking
We're
about.
talking about T and 246.
T and 246.
246 from T to B.
Okay. Is it currently have any gravel on it? Is it a minimum maintenance road?
It was a road that was good when I was born there. We traveled that road. The only problem we had at that time was the county commissioner lived on that side of 75, so we couldn't get him to come out there for snowplow. But we could always go out to bean fields. Okay? So, but there was always good rock on that road. Or at least it was a solid road. It was just as good a road as whatever they call the bottom road. Okay? So, what basically took place, I took over the place after my father died, and I had a tea cabinet farming place, and then I moved a group of people in that started doing drugs. They started trying to make meth out there. You probably, I don't know if you remember the deal where they had the National Guard and they had everybody out there trying to get a certain individual. Bill Hill was the name of the guy that they actually caught out there. Okay, well, I'm working in Pekin. I'm living in Pekin. But I had somebody living in the house, and I'm thinking, well, since it's gonna sit there empty, I know what's gonna take place in the place. So I tried to have somebody living in there. Well, that backfired with having somebody in there that started doing drugs. So after I got them out of there, then Sheriff Durham called me 30 days later and says, hey, we'd like to set surveillance back up at your place. And I go, we think somebody else is trying to make meth in this place. And I go, I'll give you 30 days and then the house is gonna have to come down because I'm not gonna do that to my neighbors anymore. You know? So when it comes down to it, if you're to determine that these are low maintenance roads because of housing, then here, when I tore this house down trying to do a service to the community of getting drugs out of the community, now I'm paying the penalty for it. Because if it's all because that there's no houses on that road, I don't know what determines, I don't know what
That's not
determines
what I'm
that.
saying.
Well, what determines that?
Yeah, those roads, it's been a minimum maintenance road.
Well, there was
I've
never
been
no
alive.
sign there, never no sign there.
Right, but we have records dating back however many years. Road and Bridge went back and researched the records.
Okay.
If it's always been a minimum maintenance road just because it didn't have a sign on it, then that's why we were doing this whole process, was to clean up some of these roads that have always been designated, not by me, but by prior county commissioners, prior resolutions, prior,
Informal.
administrations.
Right? Or someone informally, not statutorily.
Correct. And so our goal in this whole purpose was to clean all this up for future commissioners, future residents, so that they would know what roads are minimum and what aren't.
So what are you doing to the normal citizens that pay taxes all these years? Because I've heard from one of your county commissioners, no longer here, that part of the problem was we got people coming in from Shawnee County, moving into our district, and then that's where a lot of the taxes, they're complaining because their roads aren't good enough, and they're getting their roads taken care of. Now, to me, that's a pretty pathetic type of situation if that's really taking place. I mean, that goes back to how do you determine who's a maintenance road and what's not?
Again, I didn't make those decisions.
Well, somebody did somewhere along the line.
Correct.
And they should have made the determination, they should have put it in the tax statement that, hey, this guy, just like what Mark was saying earlier, he shouldn't have to pay the same taxes. It's just like I'm living in town right now, you took some of the bricks out of the street, I guarantee you would get some complaints.
I understand.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Because it don't sound like,
I
you're,
do.
you're making the argument up there that,
I'm not making an argument, I'm telling you what I know.
okay.
And I don't appreciate the fact that you're attacking me. I didn't make these
Well,
rules.
but you start out with the comment, well, you've got these people coming in that are buying these low maintenance roads, and so they should be aware that they're buying this.
They are.
roads.
So if somebody moves out of Topeka, you use that example, and
I
I'll
did,
use your
I did,
example.
I did.
If down there by Hoyt, a guy he decided he was gonna build a house past the end of the gravel with
Right.
minimum maintenance. It cost him almost $12,000 to improve that road to his driveway, paid for in advance prior to the county ever doing the work.
Okay, so now let's go to my step. I want to build a house out there. I got to put rock on a third of the mile of rock on that road. I have to do it, not you. I have to buy the rock. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, I think that
It's-
is the way that it is now.
That's the way it's
yes.
been for longer than I've been alive in
Okay,
this
the
county.
situation is I built where I'm going to put my dwelling for a third of the mile, and I've got the rest
Hang
of
on,
the
Luke,
two-thirds.
hang on, Luke. Go ahead, Vic.
I've got, for a third of the mile, I gotta put rock on. So for 2/3 of the rest of the road, for the rest of where it comes up to 2 miles, I gotta worry about just what you're saying about kids coming up there on an inch of rain, they're gonna come back down my road, and they're gonna take my rock that I paid for, even though I'm paying taxes in this county, and I have for 40 years, then I have to still rebuy the rock again. I mean, what is it, you guys know what it costs to build for a mile of rock, how much does it cost?
Yeah, I don't have those
Oh,
numbers.
so you don't know what it costs to put rock on a mile of road? You got this meeting, you don't know what it costs?
Vic, that's more road and bridge, and that they inform us of what it costs, so.
But
Well, you
I don't-
need
I
to
don't
know this
think
answer
that-
before when I come.
Can I
because that's
answer the
what you need.
question, or do you just want to talk over me?
No, answer.
Okay, I don't handle day-to-day operations out there. Therefore, it is them, being Public Works Director and the supervisor out there. They go out and they know how many inches of gravel, at what width, and they have a calculation that they can factor it based on today's price of gravel from one of the quarries. So to answer your question, no, today, sitting here right now, I can't tell you.
Well, then how can you make honest decisions
Because
when
they
you don't
bring
know
in-
the expense?
Because Vic, if they're going to extend a road, they bring the information to us and they say, Mr. Kelly, this is what it's gonna cost to extend this road. Here's the calculation, here's what the price of gravel is, here's the width of the road, here's how thick the gravel's gonna be, and here's how much the equipment cost is gonna be. Does that make sense?
No, to me, 'cause you ought to know them things when you come into this thing. I mean, I don't know, to
Okay,
me, that's
all right.
that's a simple thing, you should know.
Well, that's
Yeah,
just
right.
the thing, we can't quote that, off the top of our head.
Well, you ought to have an idea.
And I don't know what gravel's costing today.
I mean, you're the one to determine whether it's gonna be no maintenance or low maintenance. I mean,
Based on the information that Public Works Director and Road and Bridge, we hired them to do this. That's what they're hired to do, right?
I guess, I mean, I guess I don't get to see him, so I don't know.
Well,
I
you
mean,
could stop in, Scott talked.
oh, I know I've been out there, but I don't see their equipment out there. Like I said, I haven't seen rock out there in 40 years.
Yeah,
And I don't know when that road got put on, changed to a minimum maintenance road, because, I know.
it would be my recommendation, Mark, that we'll go back and we'll do some research through the county records. We'll try to find out if we know exactly what road it is. We will try to do some research. We'll go back as far as we can possibly go through county records. I've done this before. Come in and sit down and gone through the minutes, the resolutions, all those things, and we'll try to figure it out. That's the best I can do for you. At this point in time, I don't have any other information. I didn't make those decisions 40, 50, 60 years ago when the county was established.
So we'll go back and do some research.
Would you agree to that?
And find out what's going on, when it was changed.
So what's gonna happen? I mean, what do you agree?
I just told you, I would
You'll research
go
the
back,
road,
and we will go back and we will research and try to figure out why your road, why you're saying it shouldn't be a minimum maintenance road. We'll go back and try to find some information on that.
Well, that would be helpful if you could, somebody could sit down and tell me why it's a low maintenance road, because there's not houses on that road. Then my next question is, when I see houses that are put on a mud road, or when they have rocked a mud road, I'm thinking, okay, well, there's no houses on that road. why did that road that's less than 2 miles from me, why did it get rock and I didn't? Is it because, do they know? I mean, I don't know.
You'd have to give me an example and tell me
I
what
don't know
road,
the name of the
what
road, it's
road,
Bohannon's Road.
what road was rocked, and it was not to a house that was currently a minimum maintenance road, and we extended it
Yes.
with gravel?
Yes.
You'd have to give me those and
Yeah,
we'll
let me
find
know-
out,
let me
because
know
it
the
shouldn't
road.
be. That's what I'm trying to get across to you, it shouldn't be. Based on the records that I've gone back and looked through the minutes from in the 70s and the 60s, anytime somebody wanted to build on a minimum maintenance road, they had to pay for the line extent, or the extension. It's no different than rural water districts. If you're gonna build at the end, and you're gonna be a half a mile on down the road and there's no line there, you foot the bill for the line extension. The line extension becomes the property of the rural water district for future maintenance forever. It's the same as with gravel roads or minimum maintenance roads. Once you've paid for that upgrade to that road, that's the policy that we follow. Your particular road, I don't know without researching it. This is the first I've ever heard of it.
Do what?
Let us look into it and see when it was actually established as a minimum maintenance road,
So
because
let's go on to the problem that you know I have about the bridge, that I have warned people about. Who is liable for that? I'm not liable for it.
I don't know what
It's a
bridge
county
we're
road.
talking about, and I don't know what the problem is with it.
that's the bridge I took Linda down and showed her that there is off to the sides, it's washing out and it's washing into the road, and what Vic was concerned about is UTVs or ATVs coming up down the road, going from ditch to ditch and hit that, flip it, and there they go. So
Why? Because you don't have nobody going down there with a, you know, with the thing cleaning up the sides of the roads or whatever, so they can't see it, there's grass growing up in there. I mean, I've told Mark about that, how long ago? How long ago, Mark?
that was last summer we went down there.
We went down there, and I'm thinking, okay,
And I've
well,
been-
I took the responsibility to make sure that somebody knows about this, but your guys are good about putting signs up, but yet there was no sign, there was no block, no nothing put up in that area.
And
I mean, when I go to my insurance man, I go, who's responsible for these low maintenance roads that's crap? Somebody goes off the road, runs through my fence, and they get cut up. Am I responsible, or is the county responsible?
What road is the bridge on?
That same 246?
246, and I had taken Linda down there and we went through there and looked at it, and she was going to put that on the list to get done. So whether or not it got put on the list, that's something we're gonna have to check on too.
Okay, and is that the lady that no longer works there?
Yes.
246 between what and what?
T and B, I guess.
T and B,
T and B, I think.
T-Tom or P-Paul?
T
T
Tom.
and Tom.
T-Tom.
T-Tom.
Because right now, I would be tempted to say, the heck with the county and build my own rock. If I gotta buy the rock, put it across the bean field, because at least I can control that. I can't control who's gonna be coming this way, dragging my rock off that road, because I'm not gonna rock for 2 miles. I can't, I don't think I can afford even a third, but that's my dream going down the hill, because a third, you know, that's supposed to be a rock road, and a third, I mean, an inch of rain, I'm sinking this far. I bought a Jeep just so I didn't tear my other vehicles out there to go after this property. And then when my people that's farming the property, when I go down it, I go, Steve will say, well, we'll call whoever, and they'll come out and grade it right before we have to drive our trucks down it. That's the kind of response I get out of a county that I paid taxes on all these years. I mean, that's ridiculous, really ridiculous.
And
Then
that's-
the other
that's
thing
why
that
I
I'm
wanna
worried
be-
about, the other thing I was worried about when I got Wade to come out there, I got him come out there because I was gonna put in a fence, brand new barbed wire fence, you know, and I go, I do not want to be on the county, can you come out there and show me, you know, where I can build and where, and he says, well, you're gonna have to get a surveyor to come out there, the county's not gonna pay for the surveyor. And I go, all right, I understand that. So then again, but I go, so I'm afraid to tell you this, because I go, if you go on over the hill, because the county has not maintained this for so long, this road actually does this number, so this road could actually be way closer to my fence, or someday is somebody gonna make me move my fence because the road has been mismaintenance for so long that I'm gonna have to worry about that? Because you ain't gonna tell me that somebody built a road going down a hill that does this number. I mean, that's how bad
The
this
answer
road
is
is.
no.
That's how
The
bad this
answer
road
is
is.
no.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
The roadway is established by either state statute or dedication. It can't be enlarged by the county.
So give us a chance to look into that, see when it was actually made minimum maintenance road, and we'll get back with you on that, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Vic. Anybody else to speak on minimum maintenance road resolution?
Go ahead if it's your time.
Oh, okay. I do. Morning.
Good morning. I
If
guess
you
my first question,
Would just state your name, just,
Luke Cochran.
thank you.
I guess my first question is, I want a definition of minimum maintenance. What's that gonna mean to our road and bridge department? What is that?
Minimum maintenance means that they're not gonna put gravel on it. They're not gonna go down it the same that they would a gravel road that is either considered an FAS route, a secondary route, or a main route. So those roads, those gravel roads are maintained on a more frequent basis than a minimum maintenance road.
Is there a guideline for those?
Guideline,
I mean, in other
state
words-
statute of some sort, or a
No.
resolution?
Our county, do we have any kind of guideline for
We
it?
do.
Okay, so what is it?
So the guide, I just told you what the guidelines are, is to go down those and blade they'll blade the ditch if there's ditches across those because of washing, if, UTVs have gone down there and tore them all
I'm
up.
on the gravel road right now.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that,
Yeah.
because no, you didn't.
On the gravel roads, just what are the rules for
They
our,
have the book out there that states all those. Luke, you come in here.
I expect the
You
people that are in
expect-
charge to know.
I don't handle day-to-day operations, I've told you that many,
Then
many times.
how can they run themselves if you guys can't run?
We have a standard, and the standard, I've got the book, actually, the book's at
Yeah.
home right now,
Yeah,
so I don't have. the
Luke,
book.
I've told you many, many times, we as a commission, we hire people to run departments. I don't know what
So
the.
do they make all the decisions then?
Can I finish?
Yeah.
Okay, so I hire the people who run household hazardous waste. We hire, as a group, the people who run the landfill. I can't quote you the statutes and the standards that they use to maintain that landfill on a day-to-day basis. That's not my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is to make sure that they're doing their job and in doing it to the best of their ability. But you expect us to know every detail about roads. And what I'm telling you, that's not our job. That's called micromanaging. If I hire a public works director and a maintenance crew, that's their job.
Okay, so you just said that I'm to make sure that they're doing their jobs the way
Correct.
they're supposed to.
Correct.
Okay, so how would you know how to do that?
I drive the roads, I go out and look at them. Again, Luke, you look at a road, and a lot of it is common sense. Are the ditches being cleaned? Does it have crown to it? Are they keeping the gravel in the middle of the road? Are they blading them in a regular basis, a schedule? One of the things we're doing and that we're going to do is put GPS on all the graders. What that's going to allow us to do is we will know whether somebody's telling the truth or not. We get a lot of phone calls and people call in and say, nobody's been past my house in 6 months. So with GPS, we will be able to go back and we will be able to track what speed that grader was going, whether the blade was down, what RPM the machine was running. So we're going to be able to track that. That way that we can verify to the public that roads are getting bladed in a regular basis. We have always, in the last 4 years that I've been a commissioner, Luke, we have set the standards. I'm the one, as a commissioner, who brought the state, who's an engineer out here. We asked him to drive these roads with us, then we asked him to work with Road and Bridge, Scott Kefauver, to set up a set of standards. Prior to me being a commissioner, Luke, there was no set of standards. So you had people in the north end of the district, they blade their road the way they wanted to. People in the south end of the district, they blade their road however they wanted. You go over by Adelia, if that guy felt like blading his the way he wanted to, that's what he would do. But now we have a set of standards that are given to us by LTAP, and That's what all of our blade operators have been trained on them. Our new blade operators are trained on them. We go through annual training with people, and then we have people who hold them accountable. And what that means is, if a supervisor drives down a road and looks at a road and it doesn't have enough crown in it, because the blade operator has taken the crown out of it, then there's a conversation. If they're not doing their job, they have people who will go out there and they will oversee that. That is not my job. That's not what I'm elected to do, is go out. I don't go down to the landfill and make sure that he's meeting his covering the landfill on a daily basis. That's not my job. We are legislative, and that's what we are set up to do. And I know you don't agree with me on that.
You're right,
Yeah.
I don't.
So it'd
I
look
mean,
at the same way.
I couldn't sit in your shoes and not know what was going on.
You're saying I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on, and I do.
No, you don't.
Okay, well, we'll
How many
agree to-
roads, how
we'll
many
agree-
roads have you drove down in this county and know anything about it?
That's too open-ended of a question.
I know.
Thousands, I've driven up and down these roads, so don't sit there. I don't appreciate the fact that you're gonna sit there and say that I haven't driven up and down these roads.
All
I
of them?
do. I've been up and down every road, all 1,100 miles, no.
Okay.
Have you? Have you been up and down
I've
every?
been down a lot of them,
I have too.
yeah.
And when there are issues, Luke, there were issues over around the Delia area. I drove over there and I drove those roads. I drove down and met with farmers
Sure.
on minimum maintenance roads, and I met with them in the middle of the road. So we had a minimum maintenance road down there. Guy couldn't get his sprayer down there. So one of the things that we did, instead of hiring more employees, Luke, to go down there with chainsaws and cut trees down, we went, no, let's work smarter, not harder. So we purchased a piece of equipment that goes on the end of our hydro hoe that 2 men can go down, unload that hoe, and they can go down through and clean those trees. Now we just freed up 5 other employees to go do something else.
That's good.
So to say that I don't appreciate that, because I do. I get out and drive a lot of these roads. Several times as commissioners with Christie, we've gone out and driven these roads, especially when there's an issue.
I understand, when there's an issue, you do go see it,
And we go,
and it's brought to
And
your
we
attention.
drive.
and we go
we drive too,
when there isn't
When
an
there isn't
issue.
an issue.
And you expect the public to tell you where the issues are. That's-
I don't
I
expect, I don't
think that's
expect,
the rule I've heard,
well,
is call in and tell them where our problems are.
if Luke, you're driving down the road and you see something, yeah, as a good citizen, I would call in.
And I have.
Great, thank you
But
for
I don't
doing
think
that.
I,
But
the
you're
common
not the-
stuff, I
you're-
don't think I should have to tell you. Your people should know.
And what I'm trying to say is that people in the graders and people who drive up and down the roads, the dump truck drivers, any of them, they know and they understand if they see an issue, they're supposed to call it in, they're supposed to let people do. No, and we have call logs that show that.
And if it's something that the grader operator is running up and down the road and he needs to take more time to fix the
That's
problem
exactly
that he
right.
sees right then, he's perfectly fine to stop right then, fix what he sees, because we don't require X amount of miles of road a day.
That's good.
If they
We-
see a problem, they're
I've told you that, I've
supposed to
told you
fix it.
that before. We've been over all this before.
I
But
know.
you don't believe,
But I've lived here all my life.
I have
And the
too.
roads aren't better than they were 40 years ago.
I would disagree with you.
No, you won't, because you just told me earlier that we don't rock any roads to a house. You
No, I
told
didn't.
that man
No,
there.
I didn't.
You said
That's not true.
You said that we, in my lifetime, we have never put rock onto a guy's house.
That's not true.
At your expense.
You're, yeah,
On-
I'm not gonna
on
argue with it,
maintenance
because that's
road.
not what I
Well, I
said.
heard it.
On a minimum maintenance road.
On a minimum
Built on
maintenance road, you're
minimum
leaving a
maintenance road.
key portion out.
You're wrong there too.
If somebody builds, what I said was, just so we have this very clear, if somebody comes to the county and says, I wanna build past the end of the gravel on a minimum maintenance road, not my rule, it's the county rule, it's been that way for as far back as I can research it, Luke. I've been through the minutes.
Okay, I built a house on
And,
a dirt
and you
road.
have to you have to pay for the line extension. Well, if you got yours gravel, then you knew somebody that did you pay for it?
Nope,
Well, good for you.
really.
Yeah.
The county did it, and it was good for me.
Because everybody
Why
else,
would they have done mine?
I can't answer that question, Luke.
Well, you just said it's never been that way.
Yeah.
According to the rules, it should have never been that way.
Yeah, you know that.
You-
According to the
No,
regulations,
no,
No,
right
the
now.
understanding I had at the time was, if you're willing to build a house and be on the tax rolls for 50 or 60 more years, we're more than happy to rock the road. That was the
Then-
commissioners at that time.
Then I can't do anything, I can't change.
I know you can't, but you can't make it as a blanketed deal that that's always the way it's been. It isn't,
And that's not what I said.
okay? That's what it sounded like.
The way the rules are set up, and if
Now.
they're going to, always, that's the way it was
Okay,
back
I
then.
understand always means all the way back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go
ahead.
back to my original question, you got sidetracked so far off. Is what is minimum maintenance entail? Does that mean you're gonna grade it 5 times a year, 1 time a year,
That's,
never?
I think you missed the discussion,
I wasn't here,
yeah.
guys. I was
So
2
we missed
minutes
that
late.
discussion. That is one thing that I want to make sure that we have down is how we are going to handle minimum maintenance roads from this point forward. Whether it, because I don't think that 3 times a year is a good deal. You know,
How about most of them ain't never been graded in the last year or 2?
now, and I can't answer that.
Well, you can't, I can.
Okay.
I know lots of them.
But what I'm saying is, that's what I want to do, is try to get a standard adopted to where we know that we can actually sit here and say how many times a year the minimum maintenance roads are going to get done. Because, you know, you and I have had this discussion that years ago, there was supposedly a gentleman's agreement on mud roads, dirt roads, this, that, and the other thing. Where that came from, Lord only knows, I don't know. But then the minimum maintenance roads would get done in the spring, in the summer, and the fall. I don't agree with that. I think that, you know, we need to come up, sit down, Road and Bridge, and talk to them, and come up with a plan that we can answer to the public when they come in and say, what's your standards for minimum maintenance roads? How often are you gonna do them, when are you gonna do them, and so on and so forth. So that's one thing that we're gonna come up with.
Well, 4 years ago, when they were doing them all, every dirt road, every gravel road, with their old junk graders that they had, with no much of a cab of any kind, they did every road all the time. Every week or 2 weeks, however long it took them. They did every road. There was no minimum maintenance roads. They were all maintained. Now, there might have been a few roads that were impassable and closed down. Those are different. But there was no minimum maintenance
Well,
roads.
Yes, yes,
So when
sir.
did minimum maintenance become a factor?
Back in 1995, Resolution 1995-21 established these roads as minimum maintenance roads. So that was 1995.
Okay,
So
well, I know way
I
back
don't,
there.
I can't answer it, this is kind of cut off, so I can't answer
So,
this is the total list, but
Who was the person that said, I'm gonna dictate that road's minimum maintenance? This one isn't
you would have to go back to 1995 and ask, if I remember correctly, from my research on the subject, it was back during the Dorothy Lewis era, in that time frame. So whoever the city commissioner were at that time, is who you have to go back and ask, why did you do that? I can't answer
Well, you
that.
guys can undo it. I mean, you don't have to just continually just add
That's-
to it and
that's-
keep following
That's
somebody
what,
else's trail.
that's what part of the discussion was, as to the cost of trying to get rid of all, you know, I told you, I don't like minimum maintenance roads.
Yeah.
But the cost of trying to get rid of all of these that are on the list is astronomical. So
What-
strategically, I think what we need to do is look at these roads and see about what we can do strategically and cost-wise to make the minimum maintenance roads better for the citizens of the county. Okay?
I dug out some stuff I had from October of 19. And I've got each district, and these were from your road and bridge. The gravel miles, the chip and seal miles, the dirt road miles, and the minimum maintenance of each district. And so at that time, this is 19, in your district, there was 721 gravel miles,
Mhm.
75 chip and seal miles, 125 miles of just dirt roads, and it was 52 miles of minimum maintenance. So now, between 19 and now, we're gonna make all those 125 miles of dirt road into minimum maintenance.
And the reason
Is that
that we're,
correct?
the reason that we're, well, the reason that we're trying to establish minimum maintenance, okay, like I said, supposedly, way back when, there was a gentleman's agreement that dirt roads would be done X amount of times a year, minimum maintenance roads would be done X amount of times a year, mud roads, which we had signs out there for mud roads, would be done X amount of times a year. In order to set a standard to where everybody's on the same page. That's why we are going with minimum maintenance roads and not 3 different types of roads. They're all going to be held to the same standard, not 3 different standards that nobody understands anymore.
So the 125 miles that were in your district
Mhm.
are gonna be downgraded to no maintenance,
No,
almost zero maintenance.
no. That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're
I didn't
saying.
go through the paper and add up all the miles of road. Is there 400 and some?
400 and some odd miles, yes.
Yeah.
But no, that's not what we're saying, is that the roads are gonna be downgraded. That's what I just said. We want to establish a standard to where all of the roads are treated the same. So, right now, if we go from minimum maintenance roads being graded 3 times a year to they're graded bi-monthly or something like this, that's an upgrade, correct?
Oh, yeah, it would be.
Okay, so
We're
we're
not
not downgrading anything. We're trying to set a standard so that all of the roads, the dirt roads, minimum maintenance roads, mud roads, are now grouped as minimum maintenance roads, and they will all be handled the same, not 3 different ways.
The other portion to that, Commissioner Pruett, is that by upgrading and putting these signs on these roads and travel at your own risk, now that gives our sheriff and his personnel the authority to write tickets to people who drive down them and get stuck in their 4-wheel drive pickups that are out playing. Before that, if it didn't have the signage on it, he had no authority to do so.
Why is that important to anybody?
Why is that important to anybody?
Yeah.
So Luke, you don't think it's important?
No,
Really? So you think those roads should be open to anybody to come tear up and play on?
I suppose so if they're paying taxes in this county.
How do you verify that, Luke?
I don't know.
They don't have driver's license.
You'd have to be there to see them. Yeah.
See,
Well, if
it's
it's
it's that kind of logic that I don't know how you have a conversation about it.
You're not gonna grade it anyway, so why does it matter?
There
I mean,
you go.
I've
You're
witnessed-
right, I'm not gonna grade
No,
it.
nobody
Road and
is.
Bridge will.
No, they won't.
Yes, they will.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what we're trying to get that established.
I mean, you
That's-
sit
I
here
just
and
said
tell
that.
me that they're not going out and blading
Do
these
you want
roads,
to
and
go
I
see
know
some
they are.
roads that haven't been seen
Yeah.
in 3 years?
And Luke, what I'm
Haven't
telling
seen
you
you.
is, when these guys go down these with groups of 5, 6, 7, 8 UTVs, they get in the ditch, they tear them up, they do donuts, they tear these roads up. We could have graded that road the day before, then it rains, then they go down it, and now we gotta try to wait for it to dry out, and you call up and say, I can't get down it because the ruts are so deep. It may not be you, but that's what we hear from other farmers and people in this community.
What about the farmer has to tear it up? Then what are you gonna do, ticket him?
No, Luke, we're not
Because he
gonna,
wasn't
Tim's
planning-
not gonna write him a ticket on his tractor.
I wouldn't write down anybody.
So if a guy goes down and deliberately tears up a road, we shouldn't have the authority to write him a ticket?
I guess your word deliberate is the key factor.
Well, they're not going down there accidentally.
How do you know?
In a
Maybe they needed to go
UTV?
through.
Yeah.
On
That-
a UTV
Why do we
or a
have,
pickup
hey,
truck,
I can't
Keith,
deal, I can't
Keith,
deal.
why do we have the road period if it isn't needed to drive on?
Okay, well, that would be a good answer to some of these questions would be is that you
Do
can
we need the road?
vacate these roads.
We could vacate it.
I know you're probably planning on it. Give it another year.
No,
The
we're not.
sarcasm isn't needed, Luke. I mean, we're not vacating these roads because I don't want to hamstring commissioners later on down the road. So if you're 50 years from now, you may or may not be here, and some of the property that you own that is on a minimum maintenance road, if I vacate that and somebody wants to build a house on there, then they've got to petition the commission to come in and have that road completely open back up. Some of these roads, we just closed the road because it made sense to close the road,
Not vacated.
not vacate it.
Okay,
And we're getting ready to do another one because people were driving down there, getting stuck, cutting the man's fence, driving out in his pasture, turning around, using wreckers, and then coming back out. So there is a common sense that falls into some of
there
this.
is a difference there between cutting his fence and going in his field versus just keeping down the road.
But if somebody is going down there with the intention of getting in the ditch and tearing the road up on purpose, because it's fun,
I guess there's some of that, I don't know.
There's a lot of
I
that.
don't see
really,
it.
I can't believe you don't
There's a lot
you don't
of that.
agree with me. Come on, at least we can agree on that, can't we, Lou?
That they're doing this a lot,
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh,
I mean, we got a lot of dirt roads up in our district,
so do we?
and I don't see them all tore up.
Really?
No?
Yeah, we do down in the south end. There's a lot over by the Dewey area. They
Yeah.
get tore up.
Yeah.
Down by Hoyt, down in that region.
So if they're tore up, and you witness it, I guess, or
No,
somebody
it
does.
has nothing to do with
So
me.
does the road and bridge run out immediately to fix it up?
Well, they can if it's still muddy.
The sarcasm, then, there you go.
Well, you're asking, do they immediately
That's the
run out
truth,
and
Lou.
fix it?
They
No.
can't just go, I mean, you know.
They're gonna wait till it dries out, and then they're gonna go in and blade the rut shut.
Don't talk about me on sarcasm.
I'm not being sarcastic. That's what they
Do you
do.
think I was that stupid that they ran out in the mud and did something?
That's what you said.
No, I didn't. I said, do they get right out there and get it fixed?
They do their
not go
very
out.
best to get out there and fix those.
In the next 8 months?
Okay.
Okay, do you have anything else, Luke?
Yeah, I got two miles of road that I don't think, needs to be put in minimum maintenance.
Okay, what's that?
It's on X Road from 286 to 278, and X Road from 266 to 254. In fact, I think
Say
that'll
say
be
those
wrong.
again, say those again for me.
X Road from 286 to 278, and X Road from 266 to 254.
Okay. We have down here X Road from 277 to 286, not 78.
It's 78, so
Okay?
it's just a misprint. They're all in eights.
So that's gonna have to be,
It's 254 to 262, I believe. Sorry, over the 266. I don't know where that is.
I've got you down here on X Road from 254 to 262.
So X Road is the only road that runs from number 9 highway straight through to 116 highway. And that's part of my basis. The other basis is those miles weren't minimum maintenance previously.
Previously,
In the last 5-6 years, they weren't.
What were they?
Dirt road.
Okay.
okay, there again, dirt road and minimum maintenance road, the only difference between the two were the gentleman's agreement on how many times a year they got done. That is why we're trying to set the standard and have them all the same now. That's why we could have chose to call them all dirt roads. But it was, by going with state statute, with what they recommend for changing the roads into all minimum maintenance roads, with the signage all the same and, you know, all of that. We're not changing anything. They were still a minimum maintenance road if they were just called dirt roads, okay?
Well, I understand what you're saying and why you want to get them a lot. But what I don't understand is when we changed all that. Because at one point, we were grading them all.
That's,
There was no separation
and that was
between
long, that was
gravel
long
or
before us,
dirt.
Luke.
We graded them all.
That was long before us.
I understand that, but somewhere in this era, we started classifying them as dirt or minimum maintenance,
No.
95, I guess.
Yeah,
And then,
95 is when they
Now-
put in the minimum maintenance resolution.
and when they become minimum maintenance, it's beyond minimum. It's no maintenance.
And that's why we're trying to get things established to where we have a pattern that we know what it is and that the road and bridge will follow. The grader operators will follow how many times, when, what, how they're gonna do it.
But as that minimum maintenance road deteriorates and deteriorates for lack of maintenance, it gets so bad that pretty soon, then it's either a major rebuild or what are we gonna do with it? I guess we're gonna give up on it.
Right. And
So-
sometime way back when, they were differentiating between a minimum maintenance road and a dirt road, and how many times they were gonna do it. We're trying to bring everything back in and rein everything in to where we can get it on
I
a
fully understand
consistent basis.
what your basis is, but what I'm getting is that minimum maintenance means that we're not maintaining.
No, that is not it that is not at all.
Well, but I'm telling you what I witnessed.
That is what you've witnessed.
So you are
Hold
gonna,
on, Luke, that is what you have witnessed.
in the process of passing this resolution you wanna do, is it gonna come along with a standard?
That is what we're
How
going to
take care of
establish.
minimum maintenance?
That is what I'm telling you we're going to establish with road and bridge.
Okay, will it be in this resolution?
No,
Okay, so it's just an open-ended,
the resolution is just basically to get everything on the same page. The dirt roads, the mud roads, the minimum maintenance roads.
And resolutions help future commissioners track what was done, because resolutions are official record that is kept. Because things in the past were agreed to, but never put in an official record, therefore they're not trackable. So what we're trying to do is create something that people can track, and so that 20 years from now, they're not sitting around twiddling their thumbs going, well, is this a minimum maintenance road? Is this a mud road? What is the standard for that? That's what we're trying to establish, is some continuity to it, so that this doesn't move forward the way it has been.
so who in this resolution, I saw certain people could drive on? Who's gonna be the kingpin to decide who can drive on which roads? Certain people it said could drive on.
I'm not familiar with that, but
I don't
I don't recall seeing anything like that at all.
Well, get the newspaper,
Yeah, I got a copy here, because same thing.
read it.
you have the resolution.
I don't, I mean, I think that was legal,
Oh, wait.
Okay, look. Because I had the same thing, because if it comes down to that, then why don't you let the landowners police the road itself? Put gates on each end of the road.
Have a good day. Maybe I got it on my phone.
The end of that road.
Is it in an article?
Yes.
Or is
No,
it,
it's in
It's
the.
quoting the state statute
it's quoting a state
right
statute,
here.
not what's in the resolution?
685102C.
I'm looking at the resolution right here.
So what roads, what part of roads?
Now therefore be it resolved that in accordance to blah, 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 and Exhibit A attached hereto are deemed to be used only occasionally or is used only by a few individuals. As such, said roads qualify for designation as minimum maintenance roads.
In other words, what that's saying, Luke, is, and I've got the resolution right here that I'm looking at. Yep, you're correct. Deemed to be used occasionally or used only by a few individuals. All that that's saying is, in my take of it, is it's not a major road, it's not a highway, there's not gonna be 1,000 cars a day up and down the road.
Well, the way the resolution doesn't forbid anybody from driving on it. This
No.
says that these roads, by this hearing and the evidence presented to this body, are roads that are not frequently traveled, or are only occasionally traveled, and therefore are of lesser importance to the.
It's no different than secondary roads and main roads. The designation that we use and Road and Bridge uses, we have FAS routes. Those are to be cleaned when in snowstorms first. The secondaries and the main routes, those get higher priority because that's where the majority of the traffic is. A minimum maintenance road typically doesn't see a lot of traffic. But if you're asking, does that mean somebody's going to have to sit out there and police who goes up and down it? No. Anyone is welcome to drive up and down that road. It is an open road. They travel, that's why the sign is underneath it. They travel at their own risk. Okay?
And somebody can come in
Which
here,
is true of all the roads in Jackson County. You're all the time.
somebody can come in here today and say, the road you have listed, I see 10 people going down it every day. For whatever reason, you say, I don't know that. Oh, yeah, sure. And then you go out there and look, and it is. So then you say, well, this is off that list, because that's not, that's travel too much. That's what
Yeah,
that
I mean,
purpose is.
we're not restricting anybody or anything individual.
Just one clarification. it
Yeah,
appeared like
it's
it
just
was gonna be
saying, no,
certain
it's
individuals.
just saying that road is not traveled as much as other roads. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So what is gonna be, what's gonna determine whether it stays on minimum maintenance? I know you and me talked, you have a road you don't want on there.
Right.
So is your road not gonna get on there?
As of right now, no, because number one, it's listed wrong. So we're taking it out.
How's it listed?
It's listed as U, which is the corner.
Okay.
And there's two houses on that road to the east. The documentation that I've seen that says U4, not U.
Okay. So it won't be minimum maintenance, the road.
We haven't made that determination yet. We're taking it off the list because it's listed wrong in the resolution.
And just like the gentleman back here, we're gonna do research on his road to find out more information about it.
There's nobody who lives on these roads that I'm presenting. I'm presenting them as a traffic path from Highway 9 to Highway 116. They go straight through with no bridge problems. And so I don't want that traffic, that road to become, or those two roads to become impassable, which is what happens when we declare minimum maintenance.
Those roads have been minimum maintenance roads.
No, they haven't.
Dirt roads.
Dirt roads, not minimum maintenance.
Okay.
They got a sign on them now.
Okay.
They didn't have a sign on them, and I verified that they weren't previously when the county went up there with two graders and reconstructed that road from 286 to 278 completely about 6 years ago, whenever Dan Barnett was there. He researched and said, no, this isn't a minimum maintenance road, and they rebuilt that road from one end to the other.
With gravel?
Huh?
With gravel?
No, shaky. Back to usable condition. Then it's been neglected since.
Okay.
Forgot about
And if you remember at the beginning of our conversation, we were talking about dirt roads, mud roads, minimum maintenance roads. Three different standards that you're trying to hold people to for grading the roads. So that is why we're lumping them all together under minimum maintenance roads. Just because we're calling it a minimum maintenance road now does not say we're going to neglect the road and never touch it again. Okay? I know in your experience, and in my experience too,
Yeah.
there have been roads that are minimum maintenance roads that don't get touched as often as they should. That is why I just told you, we're going to establish standards to where we're going to grade the roads and how we're going to grade those roads and what we're going to do on the roads and how often. Okay, so we're not trying to run off of three different standards, we're going to run off of one.
Okay, I follow your line of reasoning and nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Great. But to ask everybody to allow them to become minimum maintenance without a standard established, you're just saying, have faith in me, I want to do it right.
There is a standard for grading minimum maintenance roads in the book. Okay? I want to know how often we're going to do it, and that's what we're going to get with Road and Bridge and say how often we're going to do it. There's already a standard to do it that they're following.
Okay, so we're having this hearing today, and I would have thought that would have been, something I would have found out.
What, that we already have a standard?
Yeah, you have a standard, and what it is.
That is in the standard, and like I said, my book's at home. I should have brought it, but I didn't think that I would need it. Road and Bridge has a standard out there. If you want to see what the standard is to grade minimum maintenance roads, what we're talking about now is how often we're gonna grade minimum maintenance roads, correct?
Well, that's the standard I'm looking for.
No, that is not a standard. The standard is set, how often we're gonna follow the standard to grade the roads is what we're looking for.
It's always been my understanding that in the last 4 years, we last had a conversation about any of these roads that don't have gravel, that at least once a month, they are supposed to get up and down those to reshape them, knock the grass down, especially during the summertime. Wintertime's a little bit different. They may go every other month. You would agree with that?
I'd be fine.
And I think that's always been the standard, that if we get a phone call from a John Smith and he says, somebody's been down there, it's impassable because the ruts are so deep, as soon as it's dry enough, the blade goes down there, knocks those ruts out. If it needs to be reshaped, they do that periodically. Those are the standards that have been here since I've been here.
Okay, so.
And do they always get done? I will tell you, no, they don't. That is a big frustration with me also. I get irritated that I constantly have to remind blade operators, and there have been some who no longer work here because they didn't know how to follow the rules. If they're told, this is the standard, and this is what we're gonna do, there are some guys that no longer work here specifically because of that. And so, what I'm trying to tell you is that we have employees who do a great job of getting up and down these minimum maintenance roads on a regular basis. Maybe not in your world, but I will tell you, the roads that I go out, and I drive a lot of the roads, and I see a lot of these roads, they are getting up and down them and keeping them, especially, we always put emphasis on, Luke, in the springtime, when guys are going to grass with cattle and gotta get down them, when guys gotta get in and plant fields, we get them. Again, I told you, we purchased that tree grinder that goes on the end of that hoe. One guy can now go out and clean a mile all by himself. We used to do it with chainsaws, dump trucks. Doesn't make sense. So, one road at a time, typically, that piece of equipment is running during the winter months. When the leaves are off, they can send a guy out and they can do that. Once that's done, then they can go in and reshape that road. There's a lot of roads though, and I will agree with you, or maybe you'll agree with me, but there's a lot of those minimum maintenance roads that have been neglected for the last 30 years.
Probably.
And that means now we've got to play catch up. Would you agree with me that over the last 15 years, a lot of the gravel roads have been neglected?
Oh, yeah.
And so, trying to play catch up and get these done with the budget that we currently have, because would you agree with me also that we have to find balance between budget and rebuilding some of these roads? Have you seen any of the roads, any indication, any clue that we've rebuilt roads, reshaped them, put crown in them, and put new gravel on them?
There's spots where you have.
Okay, would you say that's an improvement?
Sure.
Okay, and what I'm trying to tell you is that it's one piece at a time. I'd love to hire 20 more guys, buy more equipment, and get them out and have an unlimited budget of gravel. When I started as a commissioner, you know 4 years ago what the price of a ton of gravel was?
I'm guessing maybe $10 to $12.
$13.10. Today, I haven't seen the newest one, but I guess we're gonna get an increase from mid-states and possibly Hams, I don't know. But it's gonna be over $19 a ton. So that creates a problem when you're trying to tell Luke Cochran that, Luke, price of gravel's gone up, everything's going up, what do? Now we don't have as much gravel to rebuild roads. Or not completely rebuild roads, but just go in and put from stop sign to stop sign, and that's typically our standard, We've gone from patching to going from stop sign to stop sign. I've got proof of that. Road and Bridge can show you the miles of road that we've put new gravel on.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I do have.
Yes, you could.
Well, but also I wanted to ask if there's any questions about the resolution right now. I wanted to note for the record, for the minutes, that you guys have reviewed the comments of Mr. Mulroy, is it?
Mr. Mulroy and Mr. and Mrs. Phillips.
They emailed their comments and those have been.
And I would be willing to take those and the miles that Luke has talked about off of this for the time being, pass the resolution the way it is, the mile, or the roads that the gentleman back here talked about, take it off there, and we'll hold those out, and we'll have further conversation, do some research on those. That would be my, my motion or suggestion, until you're ready for a motion.
Vic?
You guys talk about I don't know who the gentleman is in charge out there at the Road and Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
How come they're not here today?
His wife is
in
having surgery,
right now.
so that's why he wasn't here.
Well, that's
Okay.
a shame, because
Yeah.
so many of these questions,
Right.
I'm sorry, that I thought that you guys would know, and so
I
I actually don't.
understand.
So-
Yeah, and
And he
he was gonna
fully
be in,
intended to be
his,
here.
his wife's had some health problems, and so
Okay.
she is not able, he was not able to be here because of that, so.
Yeah.
Luke, have we answered your questions for today?
Yeah, all but, it's kind of open-ended on how the maintenance is gonna go.
Right.
You said maybe once a month. We know that ain't happening, but
It,
it should, but it don't. And
I will agree with you, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
And if
but-
you deal with employees, correct?
oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so always, I can't drive around and follow all 11 blade operators, and neither can the supervision. They have to do the best they can by going out and taking spot observations. And if they're not seeing it, they have those conversations. And we have informed Road and Bridge that if you have a blade operator who repeatedly is not meeting the standards, he needs to come out of the seat and go do something different with his life, because he's not doing the county any good. That's always been my standard. And we've had several that didn't. They weren't able to make that change.
Yeah. It's just that
It is frustrating.
you're not getting the maybe 25% use out of your graders.
And
And
that's-
I've followed around, and that's about all you get out of the day.
That's what remember I told you, that's one of the reasons that we're going with the GPS.
So, I just told you at the beginning of this that we're going to put
I know.
GPS on, and that will help us in making those.
But your supervisor should be knowing that too, and I shouldn't have to tell you. They should be telling.
Yeah, and in the number that you're using, I would disagree with you, because I see these blades out running,
Well, maybe in your district. Maybe all of them are down there, for all I know, but we're not up there running in ours. And we've got.
it depends on the time of the
most
year. If we have guys that are on special projects, rebuilding, there again, we can
Yeah.
further this, the hearing we've made a decision on the hearing and what roads we're gonna take off of this.
So-
Chairman, I'll let you.
I would
go ahead.
entertain a motion to, pass the resolution, what number?
05.
2505. 2025-05, with the exclusion of X Road from 254 to 262, X Road from 278 to 286, 190th Road from U Road to V7, 246th Road from T Road to V Road, to be looked at and established when, how, who they went on the minimum maintenance roster.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Not, I'll entertain, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Resolution passed.
And Christie, just for the record, would you make sure that this is put on the next agenda that we need to research this, and I want to make sure that we get back with both gentlemen, get them an answer as to what's gonna happen, with the understanding of why it's gonna happen one way or the other. That way
Okay.
it's not forgotten.
You'll know then what the standard's gonna be.
We'll be discussing the standards at the next meeting too, with
Yeah,
road
If not
bridge.
before,
Yeah,
so that it's ready.
So that everybody's on the same page.
yep. Okay,
And then you'll be able to follow up on that then with somebody to be accountable
Yes.
for those
And that's what they do now.
actions.
But again, short of following every blade operator around,
I
there
know
are some
this.
guys that are good operators, but don't always do what they're
You know,
supposed to.
a spot check when
They
they
do.
don't know.
They do.
Is a good idea.
They do spot checks.
And one last thing on the minimum maintenance. Sometimes in roads from lack of maintenance, the water runs down them to make ruts that are so bad that you can't drive them
I
hardly.
would agree.
And no truck ever drove
I
one.
would agree 100% with
And
you.
there's a lot of them that
I
way.
would agree.
So you can't blame
I don't.
all that on there.
I don't.
Okay. Just, I
If
wouldn't
it
look,
doesn't, if
I
it
wouldn't
doesn't
look
have
for that to be my main objective is kids
it's not the
tearing
main
up the road.
objective. It is one of the
One of
You were
objectives.
probably one of them that did it back in your day.
I don't believe I did, Luke.
Didn't have a four-wheel drive.
Didn't have a four-wheel drive truck, but I was smart enough not to go
You
down
were
a,
one of the few
yeah,
that did it in your
I
era.
couldn't afford one.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of others around you that did.
Probably
You're
so.
aware of them.
Probably
all
so.
right. Luke, we're gonna move on to the
All right,
sheriff.
thank you.
We're running a little behind, apologize for that.
Yep. Gentlemen?
Morning.
How we doing?
Good. I was going to talk to you about the tower agreement, but we're going to need to have a few things to make that doable, so Todd and I are going to work on that by maybe next week.
Okay.
I'm just going to, I got a few highlights on the report. I'll make it really quick for you.
Thank you. What page?
Well, start with 3. I just wanted to talk about the decreasing the crime index. Basically, the information that we have is years behind, so we have 2023 statistics from the KPI. So that's all we have to really compare. Our crime index rating was 8.6, which means 8.6 people out of 1,000 victims of crime in the area. This is a decrease from 10.5 or 18% the year prior. Violent crime index rating is in 2023 is 3.5. The property crime index for that year is 5.1, which is a decrease of 8.2 the year prior. It's a 37% decrease from last year's ratings. And I wanted to look at this because we're kind of in a 20, maybe even 30-year low as far as like our property crimes. If you look back 20 years ago and see how we compare today, in 2003, the Sheriff's Office reporting area showed a crime index of 19.5. Comparing that with the present index of 8.6, current crime index is over 55% less than it was 20 years ago. 2003, the Jackson County Sheriff's reporting area showed the property crime index to be 15.5, comparing with the present property crime index of 5.1. This is over a 67% decrease in property crimes from 2003. In 2023, Jackson County burglary numbers were in the single digits. And it's been that way for a few years, and that's probably the lowest I've ever seen. I would say probably 30 years. In comparing burglaries from 2003 to 2023, there's an over 80% decrease, putting our burglaries in the single digits. In 2024, our communication center handled 26,000 incidents. All of the vast majority of those incidents are law enforcement. Sheriff's Office alone was over 18,000. AT&T has recently upgraded our 911 system. We now we're allowed to have, right now we can have we can get texting from people that will call for help, they can text 911, but now we can actually, as long as they accept it, we can actually see video from the scene through 911. So if we have, you know, a situation, the caller can turn their camera on their phone, we're able to get video actually of the scene, so real time. Our communication center does a multiple different other, wear a number of hats. One of which is the open district court warrants. We currently have 1,136 outstanding district court warrants. And the communication center, following it on page 5, you see the breakdown of the different agencies, how many different incidents were dispatched for the various departments. In 2024, there was 3,370 911 calls. We had 39,504 incoming calls, 10,432 outgoing calls. If you go to page 15, this is just a comparison. This shows how, even over the third most populated county in the district, and so we have Jackson, Jefferson, Potawatomi, and Benson counties. We're the third most populated county. We have vastly more going on in our county. So misdemeanors, you see Jackson County at 296 compared to other counties, 104 and 2075. Felonies we have 275 compared with Jeff County at 76, Potawatomi at 112, Benson at 45, and so forth. You can see the traffic. We have about over 1,100 in 97 search warrants. So you can see that the district court here is vastly more busy than the other counties. I'll just take you to, well, we've done a lot of work at page 54. We've done a lot of work with
Page
school
54.
defender, 54. We've done a lot of work with the school defender initiative, trying to make our schools safer and the district safer, better protocols and policies and practices, and better training, and they've also increased safety infrastructure as well. But we've done a lot of other types of trainings like stop and bleed, different types of things like that. And I just wanted to point out, we had a person that on the highway that had her leg severed on the scene one night, and deputies were able to, he was bleeding out, he was able to save his life. He was very thankful for that. Well, anyway, those are kind of some of the highlights. There's a whole lot more. I know we're back up on time, and so at your leisure, if you look at all those things, you'll see what we've accomplished throughout the year. But I think we've been a big hit on lowering the property crime rates, in our county, and that's because of our proactivity. Because if we didn't, we would have those types of things occurring on a daily basis as we did in the past. So.
Yeah, I would agree that if you guys aren't, men and women, more proactive like you are, we'd see a lot more burglaries and thefts and you name it. So I appreciate that.
And with that, it gives the county attorney a lot more to do. So
congratulations.
Pick the wrong county to have it easy. So, anyway.
But I think too, it sends a message. And I think now with the new prosecutor, I think that's going to send a message. And maybe in and of itself, the combined two of those will deter crime just in and of itself.
I do agree with that.
We're very optimistic, so
We are too.
good things in the future. So
Yep.
anyway, I know you guys are pressed for time. Next week, we'll try to have more on that agreement.
Perfect.
There's just some things like the cash basis law, and a few things that we need to implement in that, to make that work.
Perfect.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Tim. Where's your coat?
Bethany, we're ready.
How are you today?
Good.
Settled in?
I'm getting there.
Slow but sure, right?
Yes.
Go back up to you.
Thanks, guys.
See you later. Thanks for that email. Yeah, that Very finding.
Thank you.
We'll see you. He emailed me his
What can we do for
report,
you today?
same tree.
I wanted to come and kind of start by outlining some goals that I have for the office, just to kind of keep you guys informed of some of my plans moving forward. And then I'm also here to discuss the possibility of increasing my salary just based on the current payroll budget. So first, I wanted to start by talking about victim witness. By statute, every county or district attorney's office in Kansas should have a victim witness advocate or someone within the office that handles not only victim witness, but perhaps other things as well. So at this time, that's not something that our office has. I plan to look at some different avenues to fund that position, including several grants that are available through either the Attorney General's office or the Governor's office. That's something that I looked at last year when I was considering running for the office. And I do have some information on that. I believe that those deadlines are in August though, so there's some delay. But I plan to explore that in more detail. So my goal would be to hopefully get a grant so that I can employ a victim witness advocate for my office. And that would be someone who reaches out to victims to notify them of their hearings, to kind of explain what the criminal justice system is and what the process is going to be for them, to help them with any restitution questions that they might have if they want to seek restitution on their cases, to educate them on whatever they may need. So by adding that position, I think just individuals in Jackson County will be better informed from our office once law enforcement gives us the case on what's going to happen from here and give them updates as the case progresses through the system. So I think that that's super important, and I think obviously the more communication you have with the public about their cases, the less question they have, the better.
Correct.
So that is one of my plans. And you know, for now I am training or starting to train the assistants that I do have to at least handle some of those victim witness issues that we have until we're able to find someone that is hopefully just dedicated to that role. I could also foresee them helping with our diversions and reaching out to victims before a diversion is considered to see what the position of the victim would be for a diversion. So just more communication with our office, I think, is what that position would provide, which I think would be good. And then in addition to the victim witness changes, I want to also make some changes to the diversion program. Currently, the office is pretty limited on what diversions that we do offer. And so I'd like to consider widening the program. Diversion is a way for the state to ensure certain things happen in cases that you can't control once a person is convicted. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but the state can ensure through a diversion that a victim is paid back fully in restitution and make a victim whole. The difference would be in a diversion, a case is filed, but prior to a conviction, they enter into a diversion agreement with the state. And there would be conditions of diversion that the defendant would have to complete successfully before they complete their diversion, and then the case would be dismissed. And some of those requirements can include, obviously, restitution if there's perhaps a property crime or something where a victim is out property money, medical bills, any of that can be included. So restitution would be included on any diversion where there is a victim that's seeking.
Because right now it's not.
I don't
Or is
know.
it limited?
I think it's pretty limited, and I don't know for sure what all our office offers as part of the diversion, but I don't believe it's many cases where restitution would be included. If I offer a diversion on a case where there is a victim and they're seeking restitution, and the defendant then doesn't decide to pay that restitution, I can use that as a reason to revoke the diversion, and then we proceed to trial on stipulated facts, which are agreed to prior to us entering into the diversion. which is basically, I don't want to say a slam dunk, but a slam dunk of a conviction.
Right.
And then they would proceed to sentencing. So then the conviction goes onto their record, and then they're sentenced, according to what the judge sentences them to. But restitution in a diversion has to be paid. And restitution after conviction doesn't necessarily have to be paid. And a court won't necessarily, I know, at least in Shawnee County, they never revoked someone's probation because someone failed to pay restitution, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So this is a way for us to ensure that victims are made whole, and if they're not able to make that requirement and pay the restitution, we can revoke their diversion and then just proceed.
And I think you said part of this would be asking the victim if they feel like they'd like it to be a diversion.
Yes.
If they feel strongly enough, then you'll take that under advisement.
Yes, absolutely. And ultimately, it's up to our office, but victims' input is very important on all cases. And so I think explaining what a diversion is important, because I don't think a lot of people understand.
Sure.
And then once we explain it and talk to them about what they'd like to see happen, we can make the decision from there.
How would a diversion speed things up and reduce, could it possibly reduce costs for the county
It could.
by the number of times a person has to appear? If they can
Yes.
do a diversion, everybody agrees, then we don't have to pay a public defender.
Yes.
Time and
correct.
time again.
Yes, so on a diversion, someone can proceed pro se, but they do have to file or basically waive their right to counsel on record. But a lot of times on low-level cases, somebody may decide, hey, I'm just going to apply for a diversion. I don't think I necessarily need an attorney, and then they never end up hiring one. And a diversion always happens usually at the front end of a case prior to an arraignment, where we don't have speedy trial issues. And so oftentimes, if we mention diversion, someone may just decide, I think I can just do this on my own, and I don't necessarily think I need a defense attorney.
Yeah, I think that's a
Very valid
yeah.
case.
That's a
for
good
that,
idea.
Yeah. There's also other requirements of a diversion that we would include on diversions for like drugs, possession of drugs. You can obviously require like a drug and alcohol assessment, follow all recommendations. Anger management is always a possibility, or any other treatment that may be beneficial for the offender. So those are all, if the defendant doesn't end up successfully completing those requirements, the state has a reason to revoke the diversion and proceed. So it is a little bit of a way for the state to have a little more control over the requirements of what we would like to see happen with the defendant before the case is ultimately disposed of. And I think it's a good way for victims to actually receive restitution back. I tell victims a lot after sentencing, restitution was ordered, but I always tell victims, just don't count on the money, because it's not something that the court can force you to pay. And ultimately, if the defendant fails to pay, at least in Shawnee County, the bill would get sent to collections, and then it would just go into collections, and then the victim ends up never getting a piece of that restitution. So I think this may be a good way of trying to get victims more restitution on the front end. And of course, diversions would only be offered to individuals that have little to no criminal history. This is maybe a first offense, or they might have traffic or some misdemeanors or something on the record, but nothing that,
No majors.
yes. So it would be somebody who is maybe a first-time offender that maybe is very remorseful and wants a second chance. So and it's a case-by-case basis. It wouldn't be just a blanket approval for everybody. So my office is going to go through and obviously case-by-case determine whether or not diversion is a good fit before we proceed.
Okay.
So that is the plan. Those are a couple of the changes I have in mind right now. I know I just started, so I'm sure more will come. I also decided, as I started my term this year, and I'm sure you guys are aware, that I made the decision not to continue using Kevin Hill to handle the sink cases. And so I have taken those over myself. So I obviously appreciate all he had done for the county in handling those. But I enjoy doing sink cases, and I think it's important for someone, at least in our office, to handle sink cases, because oftentimes they're so connected to the criminal cases that I think it's important for side and on the criminal side. So I've taken over those cases. And then also with the current payroll budget, I've eliminated one of the administrative assistant positions. That I don't think was actually a budgeted position to begin with. So that position has been eliminated. With that, I have hired 2 interns. They're from the Washburn Law School. One of the interns is a third year law student who is Rule 715 certified, which means they are allowed to appear in court for misdemeanor and traffic cases, as long as the magistrate judge is on board with that. And we did speak to the judge prior to hearing, and he was on board with that.
So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
How much did it say, or how much money was going out for the administrative assistants?
She was getting paid $24 an hour, the same as the others, but just as I did the math, her position was not budgeted. So had she remained and then Kevin Hill remained just as is, it would have been $12,000 over the budget for people. So obviously I had to make some changes there.
Kevin Hill was budgeted, I think.
Yes, he was budgeted, yes. But had I just remained, kept everything the same, it would have been about 12,000 over. The Rule 715 intern hopefully will eventually be able to take over our misdemeanor traffic docket on Mondays. And then we have another intern who is a second-year law student who will basically assist that legal intern. And then eventually I'm hoping that when this older intern leaves, the younger intern can then be Rule 715 certified, has enough credit hours, and then can start appearing in court, and we continue
Just
that.
keep that rotation.
I hope so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's the plan right now. I know there obviously are a high level or a high number of cases that we file every year, so I'm gonna see how that works. But that's the current plan, so.
So you'll be able to roll, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you'll be able to roll these interns in with the Kevin Hill money and the money that we're paying out for the others, so.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
they're all budgeted. So with the current payroll budget, I also increased my assistant county attorney's salary as well. She's been here a couple of years. And I wanted to make her salary more comparable to, obviously, the counties around us where we're competing, for good attorneys. So I did increase her salary.
I think she's done a really good job.
Yes.
Stepping up over the last few months.
Yes, yes.
And I really appreciate her communication with us.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I think it's well worth it.
Yeah, I think she's been a great asset.
Yes, she's very smart, and she's been good to work with, and I hope that she stays. So I obviously want to make her happy and give her a salary that would be competitive with other offers that she may be getting around. So that I did increase that budget. And as you guys I'm sure are aware, just being county commissioners, that oftentimes the assistant county attorneys or even the county attorneys may not live here, but they're driving in from other counties. So my goal obviously is to try and retain good attorneys by paying them competitively with other counties. So today, with that, and with the current payroll budget, I am asking you guys to increase my salary as well. I believe Mr. Morrow is paid at $95,000 a year, and I am asking for an increase to $110,000. So with that, I'll explain my reasons, and that does still fit within the current payroll budget by eliminating Mr. Hill's position and then getting rid of one of the administrative assistants that was not actually in the budget, but there was still some room left. I can handle all levels of crimes, all high levels of crimes. If there's a homicide, if there's a sex crime, I'm obviously not scared to try those. And I do have the experience, so I'm confident that anything that happens in this county can be handled within our office, and we won't have to defer to the AG's office or something else. Also, I know in years past, the county attorney has kind of had to supplement their income by doing outside work. I don't think that, I just just don't think with the amount of cases that we have here that that is something that I want to have to do. I think there's enough cases here that we really should be putting our attention full-time here. And so I do plan to treat this as my full-time only job, and Amy does as well. She wants this to be her only full-time job. And so we want to make our salaries competitive with other counties around. So,
What counties do you have as reference?
so I have the Ellis County attorney in 2023 was at 108,000. Finney County, that was kind of ridiculous, but it was 169,000. Lyon County, the assistant county attorney was making 97, so that's just an assistant. And then Osage County, the deputy county attorney, so the number 2 was making 110,000.
And so, compared with number of cases Kim just stated, we obviously, if people are looking at Pot County, Jeff County, the counties surrounding us, obviously we're anywhere from 2 to 3 times more cases
Right.
in things. So if people are looking at to compare, that would be an observation they'd want to take,
Yes.
the amount of work that you guys have.
Yes, yes, and I know in Potawatomi County, from what I heard, starting salary for just an assistant county attorney there is 87 or 85, so it's really high.
What did you move Amy to?
What?
What did you move Amy to? The assistant?
Well, she is at 87, I bumped her up to 87.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she was like 81 with the recent increase, and so I bumped her up to 87.
Okay.
And just to make it comparable, since she does have 2 years of experience, I thought that that was appropriate. So, yeah, so that increase for me and Amy still does fit within the payroll budget that we have, along with the 2 interns. And obviously, as county attorney, I hope to be here for a long time. And I want to treat this as a full-time job, and I want to give the cases the attention that they all deserve. And I just don't want to feel like I have to go out 1 or 2 days a week to supplement my income and not focus on.
On the county.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like everything that I've heard, and I am perfectly happy with you doing that, just so long as it fits within your budget, which you're telling us it does. So I'm tickled to death that you're going to focus fully on the county.
Yes, yeah, and I think law enforcement obviously works really hard, as you heard, bringing us cases, and so, I want this to be my focus. And so that's what I'm requesting today. Obviously, I'll take any questions you guys have.
I don't have any
Ready for
questions. I think
motion.
you pretty much explained everything. So,
And she's an elected official and stays within her budget, she can kind of do what she
Yeah.
wants to do.
yeah.
Other than, we set her, we'll
Right,
have to
we
make a
said
motion
budget,
on
but I'm
her.
saying, she's saying she can stay within the
Yeah,
budget.
so, yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
So I'd entertain a motion,
But I think,
or do you want to just get a general consensus?
there you go.
Okay, general
Yes.
consensus, I'm perfectly fine with it myself, and I think the rest of the board is also.
Okay, thank you guys.
Yep.
And then obviously, as I start exploring the victim witness position and the grant, I'll keep you guys updated on all of that. I think Kevin Hill was receiving benefits of some sort.
Yes.
So maybe we could table those until we find,
I am gonna stop. Christie, I do believe we are gonna have to have a motion. I'm sorry, Mark.
For the-
For her increase, because we do, anytime an elected official, we have to make that decision. We control salary and budget.
Okay.
So,
So I'd entertain a motion for that.
yeah, and I move that we increase her salary, Bethany's salary to the 110,000.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye,
All opposed, same sign.
that way it's official.
Perfect.
and then obviously I'll keep you guys updated as I explore the victim witness advocate role, and then writing the diversion program once that is out. I'll keep you guys updated, but.
Great.
Yeah, and I think it's good too. I know there's some money that comes into your office.
Yes.
And maybe once a quarter, if you just have those numbers, you want to come down and say, here's what we're bringing in, and here's either we're ahead of the game or we're behind the game, or, just whatever, that's just good information for us, because we
Yes.
get asked those questions.
Well, I will be interested to see if I widen the diversion program to include some conflict lines if the victims are okay much more victims are actually receiving in restitution versus in years past where it's ordered but maybe not paid.
I had that happen one time, I got a check for under $3.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was years later, and I'm like, what's this for?
Well, and restitution gets paid first out of, on a case, so if a defendant's paying restitution, it will go to the victim first, but oftentimes it may just be $20 here and there, so. Yeah.
Appreciate the communication.
I'll step up. Thank you, Bethany.
Pat, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm right, Bethany, but I can't. Bethany's too
Would you prefer Beth?
Beth's, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Just need to know the rules of the game.
Yes, yes, I will do that. Or you wrote with your operators, yeah.
We have a gentleman in special crew, thanks,
Thanks.
that is a trained operator, and if need be, we have a 12th grader, they will put him in that. Like during snow, we had 12 blades out running. And we have, I think, actually, we have a couple of truck drivers that know how to operate one, just don't. They prefer to be in a truck. I think, yeah, I'm not gonna say who, because I'm not sure, but I know I think we have at least 2 truck drivers that are going to be moving forward. One of the things that I talked about maybe a year and a half ago was to take hire another operator, take that 12th blade, put him in, put this operator in a specialty group under Matt, but during the summertime, have that individual do nothing but minimum maintenance roads around the entire county. I couldn't.
Really, it sounds like something needs to happen.
I agree. And I said, the reason I say that is because now your 11 blades in your 11 districts don't have to come off their gravel roads. And this guy, it's just like what we do with the mower. They just work around the
Sorry,
county.
Pat, come on up.
And whatever
Black
they
people going to
choose, but he's going in, and he or she are going in and working on nothing but minimum maintenance roads, and that's where the focus is. Couldn't get any traction.
I see.
I would still love to do that. But, go ahead, Mark, sorry.
No, you're good. Pat, what you got?
Where Dan is no longer with us, he was on the LEPC, so I need another warm body from a commissioner to step up and join. And basically, our local emergency planning commission will meet quarterly, the second Tuesday of every third month. And I send out an email, I send out the minutes from the last meeting. We work on setting up training exercises for fire operations that are in the county. So I do need an elected official on board. Raise your hand if you would like to
We
do
all volunteer.
Thank you.
That's all I need. Linda,
Pat's pretty rough to get along.
I know.
what's your work email?
Can I ask, this is off that subject, but I had somebody inquire to me about during the snowstorm, that the ambulance said they would not go out except in a life or death situation.
I heard that.
And who
towards
determines
the end.
that?
That's what I'm about to ask.
I think they were getting stuck and had to be towed out until the roads kind of got cleared. They were, I think kind of had to deal with this probably 20 years ago with the blizzard.
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't get
But,
to it.
but then they were asking, you know, first responders, somebody who doesn't get paid to go out. Which, I mean,
In my opinion, just talking with a few fire chiefs during that, they're gonna go out, whether or not they're paid. I do know that, but I know they were having some problems getting through on the roadways and getting
Okay.
stuck.
but should they just say they're not going out unless it's life or death situation? I mean, how you really gonna determine that? Because,
Yeah, I mean, they usually are very.
I mean, I can understand needing help from road and bridge or somebody, but, you know,
Yeah,
it's like they
hopefully,
told the dispatchers, we're not going out.
And we had addressed that too, so. road and bridge.
Right.
And I think we've got that clear, and maybe what the case would be, because typically dispatchers know the right questions to ask and are trained in some medical terminology, so they can ask the right questions and determine. If it's determined life and death, based on the questions,
They better be.
then Road and Bridge would be the
Road
first
and
phone
Bridge saying,
call.
hey, get us over there,
Right.
and get us clear. And
Right.
we've done that in the past.
And that's a great point. We can have that conversation with Road and Bridge to make sure they understand that if the dispatcher is calling in reference to a life and death situation,
Yeah.
we fire something up and we get good.
And it's, we've had to have a grader get out there before and pave the way for.
Somebody just asked me, you know, it's like.
Yeah, that's a
okay.
great
Yeah,
question.
that's what, you know, we need to get that established, what we need to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
You want your work email to get sent, LAPC notifications? Please. Hi, Roger. How are you?
Good.
Good.
You mean to date this?
Yes, please.
You don't want to do it?
Yes, when's your next meeting?
I'm making sure March, I do believe it's March 11th.
Okay, so it's not
And
tomorrow,
we
okay.
it's there, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So we're gonna do on the mornings.
Okay.
And usually I try not to let them go on over an hour.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, quick and efficient.
And then the
All right,
14th.
thank you.
Thanks,
How
Val.
you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Pretty darn good.
Are you staying on trouble?
That's a hell of a job.
That's good. Well, they asked about you the other day if I'd seen you around, and I said, not really. It's too cold.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, they got maps of the roads you're gonna close?
Roger, what you got?
Do you have maps of the roads you're gonna
Take care.
close? or-
We're not closing anything.
Or, I mean, on the low maintenance.
I don't know that there's a map of them.
I don't have a map, there's a
There's
list.
just a list. I've got a map at home that I was actually gonna map out on there with different
Well,
colors, for
you
different
know, you
districts.
had,
and I-
you had the
I-
legal in the paper,
If you,
but I didn't, that'd take quite a bit of time to.
if you stop out Road and Bridge, Scott has a map.
Had a map.
Yeah, he's
He'd be
not
glad
here
to sit
today.
down with you and show you.
Scott's not here today, so maybe Jennifer would know.
Jennifer may know, yeah.
My only, you know, I'm a taxpayer now, so I look at it from a little different than you guys. Maybe, I wondered your reason for doing this. Are you trying to save money? You gonna get rid of part of the graders and you're gonna get rid of the lazy off the men?
No, the
So what are you
reason,
gonna
here's
do?
the whole
Because
reason. Here,
those-
come up here to the table, Roger,
Okay.
so I don't have to yell.
Those-
The
those,
reason that we're doing this is because we had 3 different roads in the county, 3 different signs in the county: dirt roads, mud roads, minimum maintenance roads.
Yeah,
And years ago, from what we were told, there was a gentleman's agreement that dirt roads would be done this many times a year, mud roads would be done this many, and minimum maintenance roads would be done this many. We've had people coming in saying, my road needs to be done because it was said that it would be done, you know, this many times a year. So, in order to make things easier and more standard, okay, so we don't have 3 different things we're trying to grade to. We're gonna have minimum maintenance roads, and they are going to be graded as, we've already got a standard how to grade them, okay? But we're going to establish a standard how many times they have to be graded per the weather. I mean, if you can't get out there, if it rains for, 2 months and they're muddy all the time, you can't get out there, then of course you're not gonna go grading, right? But we're just trying to make it a standard so that everybody's on the same page, everybody knows that the roads are gonna be done this way, and there's not 3 different standards that we're trying to hold our road and bridge guys to get the roads done. But we're not closing any roads or anything like that.
but my point is, on those low maintenance roads, you know, there's grass that high in the middle, and usually they grade them once a year.
Mm-hmm.
But according to the paper, you were going to, anyone that didn't have a lot of traffic would be classified as a low maintenance road.
That's what the state statute says right now,
Regardless, you say
yes.
there's only one house up there, and, you know, they gotta get out.
Sure.
But there had to be a reason, yeah,
And we did not make this list up. This is a list that part of it was from 1995, from the resolution that was passed back there establishing those as a minimum maintenance road, or some of those as a minimum maintenance
Well, there
road?
was probably 140 miles of those already on the deal.
Yeah,
And then now you've got them up to where, but it looks to the public like when you're, gonna take away, put your half, you had, 1,000 miles, that probably wasn't the ones that are on the reservation, which you don't have responsibility for, or do you still grade some of them on the
Yes.
reservation?
Yes.
A few, very, very minimal. But the biggest reason for doing but these roads were already low maintenance roads. They were getting bladed, they're supposed to get bladed once a month. Some of them, I will agree, are not. But by putting this standard on there, where all roads are named the same, that are minimum maintenance roads, mud roads, dirt roads, they don't have gravel, and they don't have somebody living on them. If they have somebody living on them, obviously they're gonna get bladed
Well,
more often than not. And the other thing is, by putting that travel at your own risk on there allows the sheriff to be able to write tickets to these people who go play on these roads just to tear them up and get stuck.
well, there's certain amount of that, yep. Well, there's some roads that probably weren't on the list already that should have been probably. There's no doubt about that. But when you get to talk about 50%, that's a pretty good size.
I don't think this wasn't 50%.
it's, the paper said it's 478 miles.
Yeah, and you're talking about 1,000 miles, 1,000 miles total.
Yeah, 1,100.
Yeah, roughly.
So we're talking about 50%. So that's you know, if you're gonna cut down to grading those just about once a year, I
We're
don't know
not.
if you need all those graders.
Yeah, no, we're not. That's
No.
the whole point. We want to grade them a little bit more than once a year,
Because people still
or
have to
3
get up
times a
and
year.
down.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know this gentleman, he's probably your county attorney,
He
But-
is.
County council, yep.
right?
That's correct.
Well, anyway, when I read the paper, you know, that he recommends you need to publish that and get that on the way, it changes the whole thing to me, that there's some benefit legally on responsibility on those roads. If you put them on a lower maintenance road, if somebody calls up and says, look, my road needs to be graded, they say, well, you live on a low maintenance road, so you can't expect the service that these others are getting. And they pay taxes just like, and
Yep.
another thing you're gonna run into, if a guy is in the cattle business and everything, he needs to get to those cattle wherever they're penned in the wintertime. So, you know, that's important to him.
By doing
And he
this,
pays taxes. He pays taxes.
Yep.
So-
by doing this, the maintenance is going to get better on these roads than worse.
Yes.
We're going to increase, we're gonna try and increase and get things straightened out and settled with road and bridge. So we're going to increase the number of times that these roads are maintained during the year.
Well, you guys have been blessed with lots of money. You know, in the old days, we didn't have that.
Yeah,
We didn't have that privilege. I remember when we didn't have enough to do the hardly, when they had the tax levy, we didn't have hardly anything. You had to go down and get no fund warrants whenever you want to build a bridge. You know, so you're fortunate you've got money to do some of that stuff, but I just kind of like I told Dan Brenner here a while back, I never hear you guys talk about taxpayers at all. It's always what we can do with the money. You know, taxpayers, you know, it's just like these businesses around the square. You have some of them putting their clothes up on account of taxes got so damn high. You're running people out, and that's not a good message to send to the public.
sure.
So, you know, I think you need to consider the taxpayers more.
And you don't think we do?
No.
In-
Now, according to what I hear. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'd have to have an example, give me an example of how we're not considering the taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer.
I know, but you may don't pay, how much tax you pay a year. You own a lot of land or stuff.
To me, a taxpayer is a taxpayer. If
Well-
somebody pays $100,000 in taxes and somebody pays $5,000 in taxes, they're just
Well,
as
I'll tell you
important
something.
as anybody else. So you asked a question, let me answer it. Everybody is equal in the way they pay, in my eyes, as a taxpayer. So a guy that just has a house and 5 acres, is just as important as a guy that owns 1,000 acres. I don't place a higher value on those people. And to hold property taxes down, I think we've done the very best we can. Part of it's the valuation. If you look at why property taxes have gone up, is the value of what this land is worth. It's worth a lot more than it was in '95, right?
Well, and land prices go up.
You know how that works. You're a commissioner.
Yeah, land prices gone up, but what I'm saying is, most of those people that own maybe a house, and the cost of living has gotten so high that people can't afford to try to save any money, that they maybe buy a house, but that tax is built into their payment, so they don't notice it, like a guy that's got 10,000 acres out here paying taxes once a year, or you know, half of it, and it's just a different deal. I've been in your situation, but I'm looking at it from taxpayers now.
And I believe
I pay taxes.
I believe, and I can only speak for
I
me.
pay about $5,000 every year in taxes.
I believe I look at from a taxpayer, because I don't like paying property taxes. I've told this story before. When the bill comes in the mail, I give it to my wife because I don't want to see it because it pisses me off.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I never hear you guys discuss, according to the paper. I read the paper, I don't sit in here and
Sure.
But I never hear, I told Dan, I never hear you guys talk about taxpayers, that we're trying to save money. Especially when you build bridges out here that a tube that big around would carry, and that outfit from Nebraska does a good job, and I'm not being critical, but I need to not get into this because I get worked up over it.
Well, you shouldn't, because if you have questions, stop in and talk to Scott. He'll walk you through why we get funding from the state to build some of these bridges. You do realize, as being a prior commissioner, we are required to maintain these bridges.
Yeah, but
Right.
they don't
And
tell
there
you
is
how
that.
big a one to build or how.
No, but an engineer does.
That one up there with Circleville, there's a dam just up the road just a little bit, and you're building a big bridge right there. They do a good job. I'm not saying quality, but I'm back to taxpayers.
I'm not an engineer.
Taxpayers are paying the money.
I'm not an engineer, but we rely on an engineering firm to determine how big, based on water flow and all those things, because you would agree that if we don't size it correctly, and somebody gets washed off that bridge in a big rain, who's gonna be liable?
Well, that's the reason we quit building little water bridges years ago, because of so we were trying to save the money for taxpayers at that time. But I never hear you guys talk about trying to do something to save money.
Well, this entire thing is to save money. I mean, if you don't designate these roads as minimum maintenance roads, they are regular roads. And they would be, I think, legally required to maintain them as if.
And that would mean millions of dollars in
Every
ground.
mile road.
Just another example of that is, just last week the sheriff was in here and he said he was trying to figure out a way to save a little bit of money. Well, I remember years back when Don Collins was sheriff, he said that, and don't get me wrong, I'm not for dope, I don't like dope, but your guys catch those guys out there on the highway for a lot of dope, and that's a plus. But he always said that's the highway patrolman's job on there, and that's back when they had 2 cars. And you know, it's just a different world.
It's a great different world from when Don was sheriff and
That's true, but
Marvin was undersheriff. I mean,
and the
that's-
sheriff doing a good job of catching those guys out there. But
I'm telling
that
you-
costs money. What I'm going back is to the money deal, that they cost money to keep those guys out there. And my God, I don't know how many cars they got now. But, you know, I'm just saying that you need to.
I will tell you from my perspective as a commissioner over the last 4 years, my sole focus is on taxpayers and how can we make county government more efficient and maintain roads and all the other services that everybody likes.
Not only
Everybody
county
likes
government,
that.
all the other departments.
Well, that's what I mean, all county services. How do we make that more efficient? So I'm going to give you 2 examples real quick, Roger. We were paying waste management $40,000+ a year. We now get the same service for $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 a year. Those are for who? The taxpayer. Because I'm a taxpayer, I don't wanna see them taking money out of our pocket. Another example, I used with Blue Crockton here a little while ago. We would send 6 guys with chainsaws and dump trucks to a minimum maintenance road in the winter to go cut trees down, load it in a truck, haul it off. Okay, now we have a machine, one guy can go down through there, trim all that up, and those other 5 guys can go do other work. That's for the taxpayer, that's saving money. And so I always look at it from a taxpayer standpoint.
You know, it may be, but you need to let people know that is.
We try to, every meeting, you know, when this comes up, how we're trying to make things more efficient to save money, you know, just like the tube washer, right?
Yeah, that's another great example.
Rather than digging up a tube and taking it up, shaking it out, and trying to get it cleaned out.
Now, just like I say, I quote a lot about the paper because that's the only way I know what's going on.
Come to a meeting,
And-
call me,
and
I'll be glad to talk to you.
Just like it was in the paper about this meeting, I guess you had it this morning, I don't know.
10
You
o'clock.
had that public hearing this morning. Was that this morning?
It was,
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
But anyway, you know, in the same, about the second sentence in the paper was that you're having that meeting, and then right below it, we've already got the guys out there putting up signs.
You know why?
Just to have
Hang
a
on.
meeting, if you're gonna, if
Hang
you
on.
already made up your mind what you're gonna do.
Do you know why we did that? Do you know the reason why we had the signs put up first?
And the statute says you gotta do it within 10 days of passage, and if you didn't, you're in trouble. So if we do it in advance, then we're not in trouble. If we don't, and we can always take it off.
Well, I should have known there was a legal deal when you brought up the subject, because you're the legal man.
Yeah.
But,
We gotta follow those legal deals.
Yeah,
Or we get in
you're
trouble.
paying him his salary too, the taxpayers are paying him salary, so you don't have to listen to him if you don't want to.
I don't wanna get in
You
trouble.
got enough to listen to
Hey,
him.
I don't know how you argue with that, because if he tells us that legally we are binding as a commission, you know this, Roger, you sat up here. You wouldn't do something like
I know
that.
it's tough job, but I'm just saying that you need to look after these taxpayers more. I get kind of worked up because I can go through a list of that stuff and I wouldn't have done what you guys have done. But that's beside the point. I've lost my authority and you're in the step, so that you're younger, you're looking at things different. But you know, I tell you what's gonna happen, I can be right truthful with you. You know, old Brandon Printer's not sitting here. You guys won't be here very damn long if you keep acting like you are now.
In
I'm
what
just
way?
telling you.
In what way?
I'm just telling you.
In what way?
You know, I listen to the public out there and I drink coffee with guys, older guys, and I'm not saying the coffee dictates because I have my own ideas about things. And I'm just telling you, you're not going down the right deal if you want to.
Roger, next time you're at a Burger King, tomorrow morning, whatever, tell the guys that are out there and have something to say to come in and talk to us. We're more than willing to listen. Tell them you got a complaint, you want to talk about clear something out.
Do they use a
Come
lot
in.
of words like, I believe, I've heard, it appears?
What's that?
Do they use a lot of words like, I believe, it appears, I've heard? So I've heard that the commissioners are doing this. I believe the commissioners are doing that. It appears the commissioners are doing this. I don't like any of those because it's not based in fact. You want to know fact?
Well,
My
first
phone
of all,
number's on the website. You can call me, ask me.
I don't think it's just like, and I don't want to talk about, but, you know, just like the road department, you should have somebody know something in that damn road department. You shouldn't have never.
You're implying we don't.
You shouldn't have never transferred the gentleman, and I like those guys, they're good people, but they're not qualified. You need somebody that knows something and run that.
Now we get
run
to
that.
ours.
I'm telling you, you do.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of where we're at now.
Well.
Well, who would you recommend? What do you think? I mean, you know.
I like Keith Palmer, he's a hell of a nice guy, but he's over his head. He's over his head, and he should have left you down there, and I'm not
Again.
blaming you guys, because I think Ed was the one that pushed that. Try to save money, to try to save money, but it costs in the long run.
But the road and bridge department right now is more efficient than it has been in years.
Got more money now,
No, I didn't say more money, I said they're more efficient now. Because we have spent some money to purchase equipment such as the mulcher, such as the tube washer, that takes 1 or 2 people to operate it, rather than a crew and several pieces of equipment. So more people are out on the roads, more people are out on projects, rather than all standing around leaning on a shovel, watching the excavator dig a tube out.
You realize we're operating with 2 less management people also.
well, yeah. But
That
to me,
doesn't, that's saving money.
to me, it looks like on this low maintenance roads looks like you ought to be able to save more money. That's what I'm driving at, and drop some of these taxes. Just like the brewery over here, they quit on account of taxes.
No.
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 Well, now that's your opinion, and I hear all kinds of comments, and that's the reason it is.
How did they quit because of taxes?
I'm not the brewery business. So
I know, but you just stated, I heard, that's what they did, they quit because of taxes. How did they quit because of taxes? Explain it to me.
I thought he got elected to state government.
Well,
then okay. Roger?
Had some of that easy money.
Roger, okay, yeah, that's true. Roger, if they closed this one because of taxes and went over to the brewery in Leavenworth, and we're gonna run that one,
Did you
What
check see
happened?
what taxes were over there? I don't
what
know.
happened to the brewery in Leavenworth?
And they closed it.
They closed
too.
it too.
Did they close down?
And do you realize, Roger, that he applied for revitalization, and because he failed to pay his taxes on time, it made him ineligible.
Yeah, well,
I can't help that. He lost $8,000 the first year,
well, you should.
right?
It was about
And
10,000.
I remodeled houses too, and I should have got in on that, but I.
Should've.
But that's my own fault, because I didn't get.
Lead a horse to water, can't make him drink, right?
No, I thought the taxes wouldn't be that much, so I'd just go ahead and pay them, and I do. But anyway, I don't want to take all your time, I get the hell out of here, but, you know, those are my, and this, I tell you right truthful, this deal on the low maintenance just topped me off, and so I need to voice my opinion a little bit.
When were you a commissioner? In the 80s?
I was 16 years in here.
Yeah, when?
I started in 82 or 3 or whatever it was in there, and then I was in 12 years. I got out and waited 15 years, and Republicans talked the Democrat into running again, and so I ran for another 4, so I was 16 years.
Okay, so were you in 95?
I don't know when I went back to the second time.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is because the minimum maintenance resolution was passed in 1995. And I'm sure there was one before that, so you would have been, if you were there, you would have been in on passing that resolution.
But we used to pass, but we never did jump in this big.
Okay, hang on. That's the thing that you're not understanding. It's kind of, we're missing the point here. We're all saying the same thing, but we took 3 different types of roads, okay?
You're taking a bigger bite.
No,
No, we're not.
no. We
It
took
looks that
dirt
way.
roads,
It just
we
looks
took
that
mud roads, and combined those with minimum maintenance roads, so we're going to operate on one standard now, not 3 different standards for 3 different types of roads.
Well, all I got to go by is what I read, and they classified them all as one as maintenance, 3 roads, or minimum maintenance roads.
Yes.
So I have no idea that you're gonna break down in 3 different classifications.
We're not, we're breaking it into one classification. We took 3 and we're putting it into one, the minimum maintenance roads. Okay, we're not gonna have dirt road signs out there, we're not gonna have mud road signs out there, and minimum maintenance road signs. We're going to have one group, which is now minimum maintenance roads. And we have a standard on how the roads should be graded, and what we're going to do now is establish how often they should be graded.
You know, it's just like these chip and seal roads. I mean, you made a deal. Have you guys sold all that equipment?
Finish your statement. We made a deal what?
You said that they hadn't been done right. You were gonna do them right. That's the reason you got, what's the one that he's been doing on your chip and seal?
we take bids every year and we sub that work
Yeah,
out.
we got money now, so I'm not being
It
critical.
saves us money. It's cheaper to hire them to do it than replace the worn out equipment that we have.
Well, we
You don't
always-
believe me, so I'm
tell
just
you what,
telling you what the reason
I
was.
question that because it's.
I know you do.
Because it's management. On the
It
summertime.
was worn out,
hey,
it was worn
hey,
out equipment.
Just let me make my statement. It's just like in the summertime, those graders hadn't ought to be running out there, anyway, it's too damn hard to dry.
Okay?
Those guys could be doing a chip and seal when they can't grade roads, but that's not the way, and, you know, it's a different world, so I.
Okay, now, Roger, you were not on there, Roger.
Yes.
You were not on there when this resolution was passed. It was Dorothy Lewis, Jerry Harder, and John Grau.
Yeah.
So you were not on there at that time.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you would have inherited it also. But like I said,
Well,
we're not taking
The
and
biggest
changing
thing is we
anything.
got too many roads in Jackson County. Back when they laid these roads out, we ought to have them every 2 miles instead of every 1 mile, so, you know, that's.
And there again, that's well beyond our control,
Yeah.
your control, that's the way that it is. But yeah, Joe, so,
This guy kept tired of listening to him, so I just.
No, I'm still listening to you, Roger.
What, hey, what time do you drink coffee?
10 o'clock, come on
10
out.
o'clock.
Linda, what?
oh boy.
I tell you what, when you get old, I'm 85 years old, when you get old, you bitch about all this stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty old too, you know.
Yeah, you're just a chicken.
A 56-year-old chicken, that's kind of tough.
You were a commissioner a lot of years for a good reason, so.
Yep, and we do appreciate your thoughts and your comments, and, you know, we come back and talk anytime.
Yeah, well, I don't wanna get, I'm not mad about it, I just,
Sure.
it just kinda works on me.
And so before, Roger, I'll leave you with this. Before you get so worked up that it makes you angry, if you have questions, again, I'll answer my phone if I can.
Yeah.
And leave a message, or I'll meet with you, come up here and meet with you,
Yeah.
ask me any of the questions you want to ask me.
Yeah.
That way, you're not working off a rumor and speculation.
Well, I tell you what.
Okay?
The best thing for all of you is to get out in public and hear some of that stuff, but you need to have good ears and listen.
And we
I
try
believe we
to.
do.
We try to.
Yeah.
I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah, well, thanks for your time.
All right, thanks, Roger.
Oh, hello.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know what else you have, but I've had discussion upstairs. I don't know if you want to discuss
Yep.
executive or open, it doesn't really matter, it's kind of public record.
What's your recommendation? It doesn't make any difference to me.
Let's just do executive, if you don't mind.
Okay.
If you want to.
I'll entertain a
Just 5
motion to go into
minutes.
executive session.
Same reasons.
I move that we go into executive session for matters of attorney-client privilege for a period of 5 minutes, starting at 10 or 12:03, coming back at 12:08 with the clerk, attorney, obviously, and the commissioners.
Been moved, do I hear a second?
I second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Will we be coming back into session? And then-
We need
We
to
have to
come
pass
back
the minutes.
to do our minutes.
Yeah, I'd rather you come back just to adjourn.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We need to look over the contract before being also.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to bother you guys. I'm a process server. Documents.
Can you pay that second because we're going into executive session?
Like I told you, it just builds up on me, and just deal with the low maintenance road, just.
When you lived there was no minute.
lawsuits, man.
They don't give me a lot of information, I'm just kind of the messenger, so.
Okay, this is the federal suit that was, yeah.
Okay,
I have one for Mark Pruett.
right here.
Okay. Sorry I didn't dress any better.
No,
After I
you're
got
good,
back
bud.
this morning. I'm struggling to get around here. Then I have Linda Gerhardt. And. Thank you. Sorry to bother you guys.
Oh, you're good.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
So that's the same thing you gave.
So,
That's what was in that.
Yeah, that was the same.
Okay, okay, that's all right.
All right.
okay, so you state your changes again.
So I just wanted it stated in there that I asked Mr. Strathman if what he said was a threat, then also that he approached me and I asked him to back up.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are the two key things that I believe happened that aren't in those minutes. Other than that, I approve them.
There's a typo. On the third
Oh, no.
line. It
Good
says
eye.
On county. He spelled
Circle
county
it for
wrong.
me.
Where at?
The third line of there was county.
The koi?
Coy? The koi clerk? Are you the koi clerk? All right, we have read the minutes. Is there any change with the changes? I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes, unofficial minutes of January 31st. Any more discussion? Not, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Minutes approved. All right. Now what about the commissioner appointed additional pay? Is that just informational?
That is what you guys had requested. We did not put it on the page. We just
Yeah.
made a page by itself.
Okay,
Say
perfect.
that again.
That Commissioner approved.
Yes.
Okay, that's that information for the payroll.
Okay.
But should you change the attorneys and the assistants before we approve it or not?
With Bethany, rather than do it 2 times?
I mean, I don't know.
No, that we.
I would say that.
Yeah, if you just want to have the full document
So
prepared
that
for
it's
us next week.
It's all together and then just do it as
Then we'll
one.
just approve it
Yeah.
next week.
She's supposed to go upstairs and get the payroll.
Okay.
Okay. And the Banner 8 Creek Visitor Center, that's just informational also?
That is his contract, he wants you guys to move over. So you have any,
And have you read that, Todd?
What's that?
The Banner Creek Reservoir?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's look, yeah, I think,
So why don't we table this until we get Todd to look at it and go through and make sure everything's okay, and we'll revisit it next week.
Oh, this is the agreement, parental agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, if you would look that over and make your recommendations next week, that would be good. Did you see anything in the bills? Did you look at the bills? No, okay.
These are for
the
15, okay.
and I looked through them the other
But you
day,
brought it
so.
last night.
Yeah, we looked,
Okay.
Keith and I looked through it the other day,
Yeah,
so
okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
And I saw nothing untoward, so that's just
Okay.
so we probably just go ahead and sign that, because I saw nothing untoward, Keith didn't either. That's when you were training.
Right.
I don't think, is there anything else I need to go through? Did you want to say anything about the year-to-date budgets?
that is up to date as of the last day we did on Friday.
Okay.
That's the most recent information on that. Lisa
Anything?
did the distributions, so you'll see those on there.
Okay,
Just to give you an idea of where it was.
where we're at, where we're sitting. Perfect.
So, do you go to the planning meeting workshops on these nights?
Yep.
Is there a reason not to?
Because we might have, because we'll have to vote on something that comes out of there, so I just soon stay away rather than having to look at it, give a couple for us after they make their recommendations.
It's not improper, but you don't want to have at least two of you there.
Yeah.
Might be considered a meeting. So if you run into each other, so if you go, probably coordinate with these guys, so they're not.
And do you see a problem with the commissioner going just to?
I don't think it's a legal problem, I think it's maybe it's just a perception issue. You can gauge yourself, and I don't think it's legally proper.
And I will tell you, I went to one just because they requested somebody from the commission come, and it turned into a pretty quick. And 2 hours later, I was still answering questions. And yeah, so it's just easier to let them take care of it. I mean, you can go if you want
Yeah,
to.
just to go to observe.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is that.
And that's the problem, because then you could get drug in, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
As long as you don't get drug in.
All right, okay.
To questions.
You answered my question. Okay.
Okay, is there any other business to be conducted today?
Not that I know of.
All right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All right, been moved, probably moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All righty.
We'll go get some